Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Swizz.
Hey.
And welcome to the CTC. Everybody get around me. We are Correction Trade Centre today. Before we move on though, please look us up, like, subscribe, get up all in our business on SC Insider 100 on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. You can also search all the audio platforms as well. So Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, you name it. And on the YouTube, Chris.
Yeah, just search for Supercoach Insider. What would?
What? Swizzy, thank you for joining us once again, mate. You are the eyes and the ears. You are the Chris Rock to the...
I like to call it
to the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett over here next to me.
That's actually a good one.
Just slapping insight left, right, and centre.
The man in the chair, I like to call him.
Now, Swizz, how are you?
Mate, you can probably hear me, and a few people found out about this on the weekend, but I was being a bit crook, didn't have COVID, got 2 negative tests, so that was all good.
It's crazy that you can be sick,
a bit
but
sore
not
right
have
now because I went out and played golf today, so shout out to my mate Todd who took me out to Glenwaverley Golf Course and that. He played all right. Don't ask about my triple figure score, but apart from that, got to see some footy on the weekend, which is always good, and here to talk Supercoach with you boys. So
Swizz, how do you say negative?
Negative.
You're like, I've had 2 negative tests, boys.
Yeah, 2 negative tests.
Before we move on, though, shout out. This is pretty much, we're going to have a little sip of this, Chris. Now, those on the audio platforms can't hear. It's a single malt Nikko whiskey. It's a Japanese one. Now, shout out to Stuart Davidson. We're going to sip this, Chris.
Oh,
and,
we're definitely going to sip this.
Oh, we're definitely going to sip this. So this is Cheers, and this was the Took and the Rachele under 300 Supercoach for round 1.
Is this the red wine infusedness? Or is this?
Oh, yes. Oh, mate, it is literally delicious. So, Stuart Davidson, thank you. And I'll come and collect my money on Saturday. But let's go on.
I'm on the water seltzers right now. Just a casual little chill back as well.
Yes, but there could be some good things coming. I've been chatting to Fab as well. Might even have some drink sponsors coming, boys. So we'll keep an eye out there. Swizz, we might have to post you some. But I'm going to have a little bit of a hazy pale just because Chris isn't drinking, so I better get something extra strong out.
Much better than my drink right now, boys. So, I'll happily take anything right now.
I love that some podcasts, they'll shout out all their Patreon members and we're shouting out beer.
Not even a paid sponsor yet, but we might be getting some paid sponsorship.
I'll go left field. Shout out to the cough medicine that I'm having right now. So
He's just sitting back. That's why it's just not on the video. He's just like...
And we digress. Now, today it's a very big week, so we're going to move on. Basically, we're going to be looking at rookies, cash cows, those who we believe are very important, the ones that if you don't have them in, you should probably be trying to get them in ASAFP, work out what the F stands for, and then we'll go through looking at premiums, underperforming premiums, what do you do? And also there's a few mid-prices. Now, it's a very tricky scenario with these mid-prices, very team-dependent, so I think we'll go through some of those different scenarios as well. What the plan is that every time we introduce and talk about a new player, we will talk about that person and break it down so we can time stamp this in the YouTube and audio platforms, and that way everything ties in. So hopefully this goes really nice and smoothly.
Likelihood is that's not going to happen, so good luck.
No chance.
Hey,
we've got a loose plan, all right? And that's all you should expect from us, so yeah.
I love it when a plan comes together, but just like boy bands back in the early 2000s, let's keep this plan simple.
I think that's the second time you've made that joke.
I have made the simple plan. I don't know why I keep getting hung up.
I'm still okay with this.
I know. What is your obsession with simple plan? Like, they're good. Mate, I'm not
No, they're not good.
That, but fuck me.
They were good.
Bringing up, mate.
All right.
There was a time.
Now, let's start off with the big man, the big hulking man who I'm hoping gets named for round 3. Chris is very optimistic. Jack Hayes, everyone. Now, he has a break-even of negative 135, played 2 games, 68 on the weekend. I believe they'll probably do a little bit better this week coming. Literally he is on track to make 104,000 this week. Chris, we'll start with you first on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he just plays good enough anyway that he's the second best forward in that team. He's been that good that I wouldn't mind seeing them readjust their team around him. So right now, obviously, it works quite well. They've got, Marshall as technically the sole rock. He does chop out. You've got Ben King forward. You've got obviously Jack Hayes as well. And then you've got Tim Membry. Now, I reckon there's and of course Mason Wood, who's the other one. there's a world where obviously Mason Wood is the first to go there. There's also a world where they actually just try and work their team around to try and fit him in. I wouldn't be opposed to getting Mason Wood playing behind the ball or potentially even Membry. I'd love to see Membry as an intercepting defender. Now, the Saints don't really have the luxury, unfortunately, as we know. They need to win games. So they can't really throw things to the walls, but you can't just throw a talent like Jack Hayes out when he's performing to this standard. I do think they play better with Ryder in the team because he is a much better tap ruckman. He's one of the best tap out to advantage ruckman in the competition. And even if he's not playing a lot of time on ground, I think he's still valuable to their team. But I think that they can play with Jack Hayes. I don't think it's necessarily Ryder in, Jack Hayes out. I think that there is a situation where he will play and at least give him a chance to prove himself in that third role. Swizz, what do you think about old Hazy boy?
Well, I think if you're not on him, you probably need to get on him from that cash gen. 73% already own him.
Especially if he's named this
If
week.
he's
That's
named,
the
absolutely,
key. Yeah,
you've got to get on
100%.
him.
That's the thing. Well, Ryder got through. I think the VFL did some good things there. So it depends on how tall they want to go. But I think I agree with you. Mason Wood probably is the one that actually falls out. Richmond are going to play the two rucks in Hank and Soldo. So
Yeah,
I think it could be a case where Ryder and Marshall go up against them, and then Hayes kind of plays that sort of Mason Wood role and gets up the ground a little bit. Because
he
obviously
looked
he's
good when he
more
was hitting the
mobile.
logos. He looks great, and he hits hard. He leads hard. He marks out in front. Like, what more do you want from a forward?
I'm with you, and I was highly skeptical early on, but I think even Paddy Ryder will probably go to the bench more often than normally. He would go forward. I reckon if anything, Ryder will go to the bench for a bit, and then they'll kind of rotate through that way. But at his price, Hayes' price, you just have to.
You can play him on a wing too. Look, they've also got the luxury, like Marshall behind the ball is actually really, really good. So they could, instead of rotating him to the forward line, rotate him behind the ball as the seventh defender. There is opportunity there. Like, what do you think about that, Swizz, as a potential option in game?
Yeah, they do have a lot of options, and I think it could be matchup dependent. Richmond have been playing a bit tall, so we'll have Grimes coming back this week. They're all in on Gipkers. Bolter's obviously gone forward with Soldo and Lynch, and then Jack could be right this week as well. I don't think as much, but because of the longer break, because it's a Sunday game, he could be a chance. So it depends on how many talls Richmond actually decide to play there, and it could be a quite tall for tall matchup between the two teams, where I see Hayes keeping his role.
Yeah, I really agree. I think he does get named. I think he's played good enough to deserve at least a third game. And if that's the case, and then you don't pick him up, it could be one that really burns you. And I'd rather have him at least make, what's he going to make first week? Like 60-something K?
Hayes, 104, they reckon. So
104 first week. Oh.
Yeah, no, exactly. And not only that, we'll digress even a bit quicker here. 72% owned. So realistically, 28% of people have no fucking idea and they probably won't listen to this podcast.
Like you.
So, yeah, I don't have him yet. No, I know. But again, I had concerns. I thought Paddy Ryder was back. So it was one of those ones where, again, I chose Dixon. And
how the fuck that work out for you?
yeah, well, mate, we had this conversation, right? Fucking calm down.
He's a great
Chachi.
loophole option.
Yeah, Chachi. Okay, moving on. So the next one as well is also highly owned. Joshua Rachele. We'll move on real quick. 74% owned. I'm sure there's some people that don't have Rachele now. Is it? Oh,
that's me.
No, hang on. Someone got up me for saying Rachele. Is it Rachele?
Rachele.
I don't know. Fuck, I need to
Rachel?
look it up. Rachel.
I feel like I'm standing at the aisle.
So anyway, apparently a
Basket
strong
man.
Italian name,
Someone
which
not
I've probably
named
just
Rachel.
butchered again. So I'm sorry for whoever is critical. I'll look that up next time. Did some pretty good things. Got a 50 on the weekend though. So we did say wouldn't kick all those points every week. Adelaide.
Did you watch the game? So what actually happened is he was going real shit. The first 3 quarters just couldn't get near it. Obviously couldn't kick a goal, etc. They actually moved him into the midfield in the last quarter, which is why he bumped his score up to 58. And he was great in there. So yeah,
Fingers crossed.
I love that's an option that they flirted with and said, oh well, let's throw him around the ball and see what happens.
If you didn't have him though, would you go and move heaven and earth?
I don't think it's heaven and earth just because of his price.
Yep.
But and the other thing is there's a lot of good forward rookies. So you've still got Nick Martin that's about to come back. So a lot of people already have him or would look to get him in.
Yep.
we'll touch on Xerri a little bit later, but obviously he's a pretty much a must-have as well. And then you're looking at Durden. A lot of people have Durden. Like, I wouldn't be trading any of these guys to go down to him. The only one you might have that you might want to get rid of is someone like a Kai Baldwin. I mean, I have him, but like he kicked 3 goals and had 23 disposals, I think, in the VFL. Like, I think he's probably
and now Merritt's out, so it could open up for him as well. Realistically speaking,
I think there's a spot for him this week. So we'll see how that goes. But what do you think about Rachele, their Swizz mate?
Yeah, so I don't have him because I was debating between him and Ward to start off with. How'd
that work out, Swizz?
Yeah. Well, mate, I've been saying it as a small forward. He's going to be up and down. Some weeks he's going to kick 3-4 goals and score 100. Other weeks he's going to do fuck all. Yep. And for 3 quarters, he did fuck all.
Exactly right. He literally did. I think he was on like 30.
Whereas Ward does fuck all for 4 quarters.
Actually, I think he was on less than 30. I think he was on like 28 or something. Yeah.
And you're right. They moved in the midfield, and that's the thing because the Crows have so many freaking kids at the moment. Like Rozo in his second year. You've still got like they played Pedlar. Brown, McHenry, Saligo was the sub. Like you just go through it, and there's so many guys there who are getting moved out or moved into the forward line before him.
Yeah.
So I can see him playing a bit more up the ground, and the Crows really need a spark. They just look so dull, especially heading into the forward line and in the forward line. So I wouldn't be surprised if he played a little bit more time up ground. Somebody I'm looking at, but it probably comes to the debate between him and Dill Stevens for me.
Yeah.
Just because there's a couple other, like they're the 2 that I'm missing. So I'd probably flip a coin on those 2.
Yeah, I think, the big thing at the moment is if by somehow you shit out of luck, you have Mead, you have Owens, you have Saligo. If you have those 3 as your mid-bench, you really need to make some inroads and trade some of those out. Like that is...
Mead's not that bad.
Mead's not that bad, but as in if you have those 3, if Mead's your best one, like it's not great. Yeah, it is not great.
Mead was the sub.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He came on in the last quarter, I think, and got 18. Like, okay.
Yeah, I prefer a foot-long sub, not a little 6-inch dick, Chris.
But I think there's a chance
there is a chance. Now, especially after Port did so shit, there is a chance Mead actually comes in. They couldn't do much worse with Mead in the best 22. So
yeah. So with so the other thing with Rachele is that depends on who you have on field, I think, as well, and what your trades are moving forward. So if you're trading out a forward or you're trading out a mid, and then you need to replace that with someone that is going to be an on-field scorer, I do trust Rachele or whatever the fuck is. Sorry, I'm never going to get this right while I'm here.
The Rash.
I trust him a lot more than I trust someone like I'd rather, or potentially with the loophole option. So, loopholing him with Ward would be a great scenario. In which case, Owen's not so bad. So there are some opportunities out there where you could get a Rachele, and I've actually looked at Rachele is an important cog in me moving Martin into my team. So I want to trade out Owens and I'll put Rachele into the mids.
Yeah, DPP.
And then I can loophole him with Ward. So that's what I'm looking at doing from next week.
Joke's on me, Chris. I said he would be 0-2. I mean, I guess he didn't get named, so he can't really claim it. But Fremantle only 1-1 because Saints got the 1, mate.
Mate, that's because you think Freo are good when they're fucking shoot.
Just follow up for live purposes on air. Did you say you were paying out early on Cripps? Is that what was happening? That'd be great television, Chris says.
Came out early.
I'm pretty sure one of the betting agencies paid out early on Carlton to make the top 8.
That's
top 4.
Sports bet.
What?
Yeah. They sure did.
No, they didn't.
Fuck off.
They didn't. They can't.
Yeah, they did.
Man.
And I'm annoyed because I'm annoyed, Chris, because I've got them for the flag, so I wanted that paid out as well.
Bombster's just got his money back twice.
How do you pay it on top? Like, don't get me wrong, they've been
4.
impressive.
It's been 2 games. Anyway, okay, so let's moving on now. Let's tag these 2 North Melbourne brothers in one hit, boys. We're going to look at Jason Horne-Francis, 207K. Obviously, he is owned in 75% of teams, so we can digress partially. Part of that 25%, I think, is around our close table. And Xerri as well is the next one. Now, Xerri is 208,000. He's a forward who is 100% getting ruck forward eligibility come round 6. Now, here's the thing, boys. Horne-Francis, a little bit up and down, had a fairly decent week. Good first half in round 1, kind of pitted away, didn't do much in the second half of round 1. This week, playing a shit West Coast, right, came out and got, I think it was about a 98. Looked extremely good, got a 98. I thought it was decent. And they have a tough run coming up. So here's the issue, right? North Melbourne have a tough run coming up. So I don't know if anyone's actually looked into this.
No, they're losing the next 7 or 8 games.
They are losing a lot of games, and it begs to differ. Originally, I was thinking, oh shit, if you don't have him in, I would not be moving heaven and earth to get him in. But then today, TT, so Taron Thomas is injured, right? LDU, Luke Davies-Uniacke, knocked out, concussed, so he's out. Surely they have to put him in the midfield this week. Who else have they got that actually can hold their own?
And they have about 15 small forwards too.
Yeah. Well, but he's actually built like a Mack truck, this guy. So, look, I think it's possible with Taron Thomas out that he might even get pushed instead of being in that sort of pocket kind of region. He might even get pushed a little more up the ground, get a couple more rotations through that midfield to complement what they would have had with TT.
What do you think? Before I touch on JHF, what do you think, Swizz? Because I want to hear your thoughts before I make my conclusion.
Well, I was one of these guys who was so negative again on him pre-season and brought him in last minute because Jared Pollock pulled out of that game and thought, well, he's a chance of getting some CBAs now, which he did a couple in that first game.
Pollock pulls out of everything except for a trade deal.
Yeah, that's right.
He fucking pulls out of everything.
Same thing happened this week where obviously Thomas going down and then and LDU. So you're looking at Simpkin, Greenwood, and then probably Powell sort of swapping up. And I think LDU is going to find a little bit more time in that midfield. And that's the progression of him too. Like, as you said, he's built. He's played against seniors before. So, yeah, I could see him starting maybe 1 or 2 centre bounces each quarter in there and spending a bit more time either up at the half-forward flank or around the ball. So, yeah, it's most people have him. It's not a heaven and earth move for him, but I can see him actually being the guy that if I had to choose between sort of him, Dacos, Stevens, depending on how deep you are, he's one that I probably would want on field because I think he's going to go sort of 70s to 80s, so even over the next couple of weeks because he'll be around the ball.
See, here's the issue. I think North aren't really winning another game until round 14. When you have a look at it, Brisbane
doesn't matter if he's in the middle.
Brisbane, Sydney, Bulldogs, Geelong, Carlton, Fremantle, Port Adelaide, Melbourne.
Fremantle, that's a win.
Saints. It's in Freo though, so North are used to cold Tassie, mate. They won't do anything over in Western Australia.
Yeah, but just because you're losing doesn't mean you're going to get 0 Supercoach points.
Oh no, I know that. I'm just saying it's harder.
Oh, of course. But I think he's proved enough that he's so good that he's going to find the ball.
I've watched a lot of North games.
Said no one ever.
Said no one ever.
Oh,
said the Collingwood supporter. No, I have, and because I've been interested in Horne-Francis, and I think he's definitely a good footballer. He's incredibly talented. That's for one thing. But I will say this: he has no idea how to get the ball outside of the contest, which can be good. But I'm not even sure. I think naturally his progression will get him to be obviously a centre bounce midfielder. I think that's the long-term goal. I think of him like Christian Petracca right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be 4 to 5 years.
I thought you were going to say overrated.
No. Petracca is the GOAT.
Jokes.
No, but I think it might take 4 to 5 years to develop his tank and develop him into that kind of player. But his nous and his contested ball winning ability at the contest is really, really good.
I like that he just hunts it.
Yeah.
Some people kind of go there, oh, there's a man next to me. Maybe I'll put a bit of body on and try and go away from the ball. He just goes for the ball.
Yeah.
Like it's up to you to tackle me. It's up to you to stop me. And he actually just V-lines the ball.
He attacks the ball so much that he also will draw a lot of free kicks as well because he gets some in the backs, he gets some high tackles because he's always first to the ball.
Mate, he's so hard on the ball. I heard his teammates are complaining that he keeps hitting them in the nuts.
Hard on the ball.
Sorry, that's not accurate.
No. But so, I mean, look, that's going to, again, you can win a contested ball on the forward line, and it's currently working for him. If he does get more CBAs, I think he does score more. I just don't think that he's going, in the forward line is not going to be enough to really kill it still. So he does need that transition. Like, obviously against a weak North Melbourne team. North Melbourne.
Brisbane?
Like a weak West Coast team.
Oh,
you know,
okay. That was
that was a given. He got his good score there. I do see him, if you wanted to get him to that point where he's going to be averaging, say, 80 plus. He needs to be having a lot more midfield time. I think he's probably still 70, 75-ish average moving forward. And that's not necessarily terrible, but I don't, for that reason, he's not a must-have.
No, I don't think it's a consistent 75, though. It's going to be the roller coaster.
And he'll be a long-term burn.
Yep.
So whether if you don't have him like me, I'm not saying I need to get him. There are other rookies that are going to be able to produce the same amount of cash value and a similar amount of scoring power on the field.
Or more cash and quicker.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing that's really holding me back in getting him is that for me to get him, I've actually got to do 3 trades because I'm $1,100 and $1,300 short of my 2 optimal trades, which is just ridiculous, right? So yeah, that can't happen. I've actually don't have enough cash unless I go with the trade boost, which I'm trying to avoid using if I don't need to. I'm trying to save that for upgrades later in the season. So, a good player. And if you have him, great. I wouldn't be breaking the bank to get him.
I agree. And for someone who's 75% owned, I think we move on. Xerri is a very interesting one though now because he's tie-in. Heavily boosted by the fact that West Coast were depleted. There was no Nick Nat Nui. Only 17% owned. I think when I brought him into my team, he was about 6% owned. It was a while ago now, so he's killed it 99.5 over 2 rounds. Looked okay in the first round, didn't really kill it. Got around the 80 mark. I think Goldie only went well because he kicked a couple goals in that game. This game, though, Goldie actually kind of shat the bed. Goldie, I am off 100%, boys. I don't know about you,
but he was good in the last quarter, Goldie.
Yeah, but fuck him. I've got rid of him in draft. 2 draft leagues. I'm like, you know what? I got him. No one wanted him. I got him super late, and even now I'm like, well, Xerri is literally better than him. So
I'll tell you what, like I know it was only Bailey Williams, and I was not actually very impressed with his tap work, to be completely honest.
I think it's pretty.
I was impressed with his clearance work after the football hit the ground. He seemed to be everywhere. They also target him as a tall when clearing the ball from defense, and he's a great contested mark. Like he's actually really good, and like it wouldn't be a stretch. We actually had this chat in our group chat earlier. There's a world where he averages like what 90, 95, and you just leave him at F6 or F7 for the rest of the season. Like that's how good he could potentially be.
Maybe,
and he's going to be
90 or
ruck.
high 80s. Yeah, he'll be a forward ruck. He's a good swing option for someone who costs you 200,000. Swizz, where are you sitting on the Xerri train?
Oh, mate, I was huge on him on that. So he's 16%, 7% have already traded him in. Yeah, that's you've got it. You're going to be left behind if you don't have this bloke. He's going to give you not only be a potential top scorer in the forward line because we know what the rucks can do, and I can see. Well, they've made the decision with Coleman Jones at the moment. The 3 don't work. Larky looks better. There's going to be games where he's going to come in and stuff like that. But I think
Larky kicks 6, so
6. So
Coleman Jones is out. He's fucked.
Exactly. So, so you've got that part of it. The other part is he's going to pick up ruck status after round 6.
Yeah.
So that's all but guaranteed. And the one thing I would like, unfortunately for me being a Gawn Grundy owner, is he's got that same buy. But if you're running like English or Marshall or something like that, with a Grundy, you've actually got that extra ruck cover that week for the buys where everybody who has just Grundy and Gawn is going to be affected. So I think he's just a fantastic option. And if things do go wrong and he shits the bed at some point, well, he's going to make a shitload of cash. So he's got to be up there as the trade targets if you don't have him, and so many don't have him. I'm happy for him to be a pod, but I think you're going to get left behind if you don't have him in your forward line.
Was a pod, and even then we said, as the discussion into round 2 analysis, we're like, this is the week everyone realises to get the fuck on Xerri, which is we were kind of hoping he actually just got about an 80, didn't we, boys? Hoping that not everyone would jump on him and he would just kill it after this. But look, it is what it is.
There's a real case to be made. Like if you had the choice between Hayes or Xerri and you can only choose one, who are you picking?
If you have to play them on field?
No, just who you're picking as a rookie.
It depends.
I'd go Hayes. If he's not on field, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean shit. Yeah, if it's on field points, Xerri.
If it's off field and that, you're right. Like you already got 6 forwards that you can have, then you're definitely going Hayes. But if you've got you're playing Hayes, Martin, sort of that.
Well, I think if you were having
like Martin, Baldwin, whatever it is, Durden, for example, you got to go get Xerri.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'd be very few sides out there who don't have Xerri who have a sixth forward that is better than Xerri anyway. So he would be on field for you. And I suppose Hayes probably, may not be. He's, in a lot of teams, he's probably not.
All right.
But yeah, I think I personally think Xerri's the number one option if you don't have him. Number one rookie to target.
Yep.
I just because he's virtually the only rookie that has an outside chance at being a season keeper, and he probably will make the most money.
Well, I'm not as optimistic as you boys, but I do like him. So, look, I think it's definitely his role is there. He's definitely keeping Goldie out of that number one spot. CCJ is literally not even in the discussion anymore. So if you were skeptical, now's the time to be optimistic. I'm not as optimistic as you boys as far as like going 95 sort of plus or whatever, but I think he could hit the high 80s, low 90 kind of range.
Yep.
So even in draft leagues, I'm targeting him as well. Moving on now, another one that
Ben,
is
can
fairly...
I go next?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got somebody in mind, but it's only just because it popped up on my Twitter. And I guess he still comes under that rookie price, even though he's a much more expensive. Will Brodie, were we going to discuss him?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we're going to discuss him with other shit picks, Swizz.
Yeah, no, because and the only reason I was saying that because I was just scrolling through Twitter and Fife's getting back surgery out for 6 weeks.
Yeah, that was
As of
was
today.
already known, wasn't it?
No,
That
but
was,
it's confirmed.
yeah, but he
Now.
spoke...
Like he was still oohing and ahhing over it.
Yeah,
no,
they were discussing it.
I released
Yeah,
a
they
video. He said he has a spine issue and he has to have
but
surgery and he'll be out
They
for
hadn't
6 weeks.
confirmed the surgery or anything at that point. They
He
were
hadn't
still
had the
saying-
surgery yet.
No, he hadn't had it, but he went on the line to say that he has to have surgery and he'll be out for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Interesting.
No,
And
there
I
you go.
shared that. That was
Was that
that
like
was a
last
real thing.
week?
That was like a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's why I was like,
No, I was just
get off
watching it there,
Fife.
mate.
That's why I held Brodie. Brodie is definitely in the mix. We can bring him forward. Obviously, I was going to talk about Paddy McCartin, but Paddy McCartin is highly owned anyway, boys. So we'll go and hit the shit pick Brodie. 38% of teams, boys. I own this guy, so look, I'm not completely upset. Had a very good round. What did he score? A 101, which is definitely going to be great for his cash development. Going to be hitting you 50.
And Frio's run.
Frio's run is good.
All
boys.
those losses.
So, Chris, tell everyone why you like Brodie, because I'm only on your coattails on this. So
Oh no, I've been on Brodie for years. I've been on Brodie as long as I've been on George Hewett.
Oh, so what you're saying is it's more like Brodie back mountain?
Yes, it is. No, he's a fantastic contested ball winner. He's just never been played in that role in a permanent AFL role. His like NEFL scores when he played in the Gold Coast was through the roof.
Yeah, keyword NEFL.
I know, but like what
Couldn't even get a game at the Gold Coast. Don't bring NEFL into this. That's
what
like
we
nothing.
know and what everybody knows is that the reason he hasn't been getting that is a tank issue. Now, what we've noticed now is that, first of all, obviously Fife's out. Mundy was out last week, so that's another reason why he got a little bit more time on ground. But what we've seen is Andrew Brayshaw has gone through the roof with his time on ground, and that's allowed Brodie to come in with less time on ground. So the increase in his, that means that there's less rotations that required to have Andrew Brayshaw off the field. He's increased his tank, and that in turn has led them to be able to play Brodie. So I think that this could be a season-long thing. I'm not sure if Brodie is going to have this exact amount of role, like this exact amount of CBAs for the entire season. They did play him a lot more forward in the preseason when they had Fife and Money in the team. So yeah, ride it while you can. Next 6 weeks are great. He's going to make a lot of cash. Then you can make a decision to punt him. It's
So
simple.
Brodie's 224K. If you don't have Brodie and you don't have Xerri and you have a McGovern who you want to move on, then basically it would be Xerri 1, Brodie 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, okay, I agree. Now, Brodie, the key other thing there as well that's in his favour is, number one, they play West Coast this week. Now, I'm assuming they will get some of those players back. The other thing that's really in his favour as well is that in week one, the coach came out saying, look, a lot of his hard work isn't rewarded. A lot of his hard work, it goes unnoticed by other people, but not by us internally. And then this week, I think halftime, he had the number one pressure axe from anyone on Fremantle.
I actually see him bust his ass out there in the field.
That's what I mean. Pressure axe,
Like,
I think so too.
I know he doesn't move as fast, but he's busting his gut to get to the contest. Like I saw him last week. Like he won the ball on the halfback flank with a contested ball, and then followed it up. Didn't get the rest of the handball received. Kept following up. He ran right down the wing. Eventually got it on the half forward line. Kicked it inside 50. I was like, and you're saying he doesn't have a tank. I'm not sure if he just ran off from the bench and then was able to do that and then went straight off afterwards. But like I've seen him work really, really hard. So I'm sure the coach sees that too. But I'm not sure why they. Yeah, it's just weird.
Well, he has been following in Took's coattails for about 5 years. So
Oh, mate, talk about a work rate.
Oh, absolute workhorse.
I'll follow up on that, Chris. He's actually like one of those guys. You think about like the Olympics where like Usain Bolt and 100-meter sprinter versus like your marathon guys.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He comes on and he's like just
Fast twitch.
Dane Swan-esque.
God, as I was swallowing on my cough lolly there, but his time on ground was 61% because he doesn't have that tank to keep going and going as we talk about Took, and as you said, Brayshaw's lifted his time on ground to 82%. You got Sarong going in the 80s, Jordan Clark, more playing off the half bat, but 86%. They've got all these guys now going in the 80%. So they've got the luxury of doing that. And Brodie was second to Brayshaw for most points per minute.
Yeah,
and that's what, because
talented.
when he's on, as you said, he just gets himself to contest because he's that explosive guy.
Yeah,
and works so hard for those pressure acts, those tackles, the little 1%ers that the coach loves. But after like 3-4 minutes he spent, and then needs to go spend time on the bench. But why he's on? He just scores.
Yeah.
Segue, boys. Andrew Brayshaw, the guy that you're speaking about now. This is relevant because people are talking about him. They're like, "Fuck!" When we spoke preseason, how we're like, if there was one guy that was outside that top 10 that we rated to possibly break into that 10, it was Brayshaw. We were a little bit concerned about obviously Nathaniel Fife and his role as to being a midfielder, how that would impact it, etc., and his possibility of getting tagged. Those two things are still very relevant, but his 6% of teams came out absolutely busted out of 189, which we know he can do. We know he had a good ceiling, which is fucking freakish for a young player.
Tip of the cap to the 189,
oh, mate,
by the way.
189.
Tip of the cap.
Jesus Christ, can't cheers and not shout. Now, right, this is their run, and this ties into Brodie as well. West Coast this week, right? West Coast have been depleted. Fremantle touched them up twice. Loss. Easy call here, right?
Giants loss.
The Giants as well have been struggling.
Stringer will be back by then.
Well, Stringer's there, but Bombers are missing merit. Bombers leak points in the midfield both weeks.
Carlton getting smashed.
Right, Carlton. You're talking about lost to Fremantle. Yeah. You're a fuckwit. Let's go. Ready. West Coast, Giants, Essendon, Carlton, Geelong, North, Suns, Collingwood.
I mean, I see 5 losses there, bro.
Yeah, but not for Brayshaw.
Having said that, I mean, obviously, really, the only one who's probably going to get tagged in Giants if De Boer plays, and I mean,
but De Boer was subbed this week, so De Boer's he's out.
Exactly right. Obviously, Essendon are leaking points. Geelong don't generally tag; they'll just go head to head, So there's definitely points there. Look, I have looked at Rachele heavily as a unique pod. I'm in a very unique position, guys, because I don't know if you heard, but I'm ranked 72 at the moment. Not even a
keep it for your team analysis.
No trip dig, no quadruple dig. I am ranked 72 overall, mate. So,
Swizz, you're around me, aren't you? I'm 1,200 or so. You're about similar, 1,000.
Oh, fuck, I'm 1,700.
Oh yeah, you'd know if you were 72, mate.
This is what I gotta fucking put up with. Anyway,
I've got like 1 week of gloating.
You can look at Chris's team analysis and my analysis on YouTube. Go check it out.
What that enables me to do is, because I already have generally all the popular picks outside of a couple of rookies that I potentially could fade still. So I'm looking at pivoting towards a unique player to try and stay ahead of the curve.
Hey, keep it to your team pod.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. So someone like a Brayshaw is probably not going to fit into a lot of teams. People aren't really looking to trade Brayshaw in, even though he's about to explode with cash. But I'm looking at him as a possible, if I'm going to get another premium, he's only 580k. Like I could be getting him, or I could get like a haul. You know what I mean? Like this is the difference. Now, what's Brayshaw averaging this year? Because I put him down at a 115 preseason. What do you guys think that he averages over the year?
Well, he's currently averaging you 158.
I know. That's not what I mean. 2-game sample.
Look, you could go, with his high ceiling and Fife being out, he could average you close to 120.
Yeah, 120.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
That's huge. And like this, so what you're saying then is that this is the cheapest he's going to be all season.
Possibly, except unless he gets tagged. That's the it's the hopeful window that we're all wishing for.
I don't know. I think that there's definitely merit.
When do they play Sydney? When they play Sydney, he'll shit the bed because Callum Mills is literally all over anyone that has any talent.
I fucking love Callum.
Yeah, but the problem is, mate, they play Essendon in 3 weeks and they don't fucking tag at all. So he's gonna have 50 touches.
Another 200. Dude, Lockie Neal.
Seriously, no. All of
Do you want me to
Essendon.
talk about that?
quarter?
If all of
Did
Essendon,
you see that?
hang on.
Yeah.
If all of Essendon had a side job working in retail, they would all get fired because there would be literally every single piece of apparel or fucking apparel would have no fucking tags. No tags here.
Yeah.
No
And
tags.
Anyway, I know what you're going to say, Chris. So I was watching this as well. I was going to go, but unfortunately, the fucking sickness, which would have been much better. So Berry is tagging Merritt. So Merritt's running to Neil to try to tag him to free up Parrish. Ball comes down to the contest, and Neil still gets the ball and runs away from the contest, and Parrish is just sitting there going, "What the fuck?"
It's so good.
It's amazing.
It was a comedy. It was an actual comedy.
Legitimate was. And my thing about Brayshaw, he's going up 80K in the next couple of weeks. If you don't get him now, you're going to struggle to get him. So if you want him, as a possible, well, I think he could be top 8. That 120 guy, if you want him, you've got to go now.
If you've already got Cripps and you want a premium mid, there's only 2 guys you can really look at. If you don't already have Took and McRae, which I think you probably should.
They play Sydney round 17, so by that point, you ain't going to get him cheaper, boys.
No. So there's only 2 guys, and it is Brayshaw or it's Petracca. They're obviously a very similar price. I look at Petracca and I just know that he's dropping a game. He's dropping a 70. He's dropping an 80. Brayshaw, if he gets if he doesn't know, if he can't work out how to work through a tag, he will also drop that score. Now, I'm not saying he's going to drop as low as that, but the difference with that is Petracca will do that untagged. Like sometimes Petracca will just have a day where he's just kicking. He's just fucking terrible. Just clanger. Sometimes he just does that. Like it's not. He just hasn't got that because he goes at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Sometimes just not on that day. I'm not sure if I've seen Brayshaw's just so consistent. He pushes so
Unless he gets tagged.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. So they're both risky with both of them.
But like any other premium, once they get tagged for a handful of times or a year, then you generally be able to work through it a bit better. So I don't think you'll go those 50, 60s that he has previously. So I do like him as an option. I just don't have room for him, boys. So
I'm also not sure a lot of people have that sort of cash to be splashing in week 3. But
no, and if they are making serious sacrifices, which is another issue.
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah, mate. No. I'm not fucking done talking about bloody Petracca.
I love it.
Petracca.
Because I'm going to be going.
Really
I'm going to be there.
about
I'm going to be there this week, Melbourne Essendon. I expect Petracca probably 90 to 100 at quarter time, and then he's just going to go to the coach and like, goody, I'm done. Just sub me off. And we're 10 goals up at quarter
Did
time.
you say sub or suck?
Yeah, sub.
Okay,
sub.
sorry.
Yeah, send me off, mate.
Did you
good.
say yes, sir, or yes, sure?
Yeah. What seems to be the problem, officer?
Petracca could sit in the forward pocket this week and still kick 5 goals and not even do a CBA, and they'll win by 10 goals. Essendon are shit. Actually, I'm really annoyed I'm not on camera. Maybe I should say this from other pod because I've got this really large wooden spoon in my study at the moment, so I was going to present that to the Bombers supporters. But
Oi, guys, just
Give it to your wife, mate. Give the spoon to your
just
wife.
as another drive-by. Do you think Essendon's winning a final this year? Or?
Oh shit! Hang on, I'm sorry. We're really off track. I don't know if you heard Damien Barrett and Lloyd get on the Monday beat up or whatever it is they do. Anyway, and Lloyd said something about like, they haven't something about how they haven't won. Oh, they've lost 3 in a row since they won the final. He goes, sorry, and he corrected himself. Oh, so good.
Oh, that's
I was
great.
like, mate, they haven't won a final. Okay. Fair call right now. Okay, it's Kristen Petracca. Again, he is, I think, 60% of his games went under 100 last year. So I'm just waiting for one of those down rounds and you'll be able to pick him up at a cheaper rate, especially on those lower games. So when they have a softer game, Gold Coast actually fought to them. So I think Petracca really had to lift, but he had so much ball, so much influence, and still only got like a 129. Not that impressed this week. So look, I think I'm watching him wait for that price drop. It is happening on the Petracca train. McCartin is another one we need to touch on now, only because 71% owned, so it'll be real brief, right? He scored fairly well this week, just gone. What did he get? He got an 80 flat. He was killing it. He was on like 47, nearly 50 maybe on the first quarter. Intercepted every single thing possible. Was absolutely the best player on ground at quarter time.
That's what I noticed.
And then, boo!
In the first practice game, I just noticed him just flying for marks. And the confidence to do that when he's already got another, the issues that he has.
Well, you have to, or your place is gone.
He's by far the best contested mark in that entire team. So him being behind the ball, it's a no-brainer to have him as the intercepting guy. and he doesn't care who's around him. He's just going to go for the mark. And I honestly applaud him. I just really hope that, like, you know, touch on wood. I really hope
don't
that
say
nothing
knock
happens.
on wood.
What do you mean?
Well, he's so cheap, it's a knockout. What's your next comment?
No, that's not what I mean. No, don't say
Touch
that.
on wood.
Yes,
Right. No,
touch
I
on-
love him. Love him.
No,
Love
that's-
him. Love
that's
him.
exact-
Love him. Love
That's
him.
exactly what I mean. Is that it's. I really hope to see him flourish, and this is the best opportunity for him where he can see what's happening before he doesn't have to fly, you know, directly at packs with the ball coming at him. He can just read the play and do it that way. So he's been really good, really fantastic, great to watch. Great run for Sydney coming up.
So if you
Sydney-
don't have him, get him.
Sydney have a fantastic run. So yeah, if you don't have him, absolutely get on him as well.
Fuck, we're touching on so many of these rookies that have already highly owned. I reckon we kind of go into more complex stuff, boys. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
Sure.
well, I'll just finish off with McCartin. I really didn't like him when he was at St Kilda, but now he's at Sydney. He's one of my favourite players, and that it's just I just don't like St Kilda. But yeah, the great thing was like so the first quarter and fourth quarter he was doing all his point scoring, and then like the second quarter sort of Rampy took over. His brother kind of took more over in the third quarter. So yeah, there'll be parts of the game where he'll float in and out, but yeah, the more confident he gets with reading that ball. Yeah, he's just going to continue to take intercept marks. And a bit like the Dacosses, the McCartin boys look for each other. So you get those chip kicks a bit like the Seagull Lloyd does. But yeah, Tommy McCartin got the ball. Oh, where's my brother? Better pass to him. He gets a mark in space too. So he's getting the contested and the uncontested mark. So he's just a no-brainer to get.
Right, Chris, this one's to you, mate. Ginnivan is
Yeah, good call.
199k.
Yep.
No one is fucking talking about him, and I mean literally nobody. He's meant to go
was.
up 100,000 over the next. Yeah, but you're a wise man, Swizz.
Swizz was, and there's a reason why Swizz was, because he understands exactly what is happening with small forwards at Collingwood.
Right, but he's projected to go up 100,000 over the next 2 weeks. He's 199,000, which means he is cheaper. He's only 19,000 more than Ward, if that. Also cheaper than Horne-Francis. Right, he's come out and he's gone 119 this week, averaging 92 in a Collingwood side. Also, McCreary as well is also 210k. He's averaging 87 McCreary with the 97 this week. Is it just a case of like no one gives a fuck, or is it just because they're not like a brand new player that people aren't just selecting them?
They're too expensive and they're forward only. So you got to, like, who has this space to now plug these guys in or the cash flow? No one does.
So you think that Brodie, obviously Xerri, we all agree, is better than all
Exactly,
these people,
Cherry's
right?
way better.
But apart from that, right? So you think Brodie and McGovern's the only one to free up? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Well, yeah, if you're going to free up anyone, it's McGovern, and most people are going McGovern to someone else to plug a different hole in their list. And yeah, you've also got Nick Martin at 102k that's coming back. You've got Jack Hayes. You've got like cheap rookies, or you've got really good rookies. And these guys slid under the radar. Obviously, how they're scoring so well is they're getting higher up the ground because Collingwood are playing like Richmond did the last few seasons, where the forwards get high up and they run back, so they're actually getting a lot more possessions and they're getting linked in a lot of the scoring chains. For example, Ginnivan got his career high in possessions this week. It was 21 possessions. So obviously he had a career high in Supercoach as well, which is great. But yeah, it's becoming more consistent with their disposals because they're getting a lot more football. And I was actually there was a passage of play. I think it was in I want to say second quarter, where it was the ball was down in the. Who did we even play on the weekend? Fucking hell, I forgot. Oh man, that's
Adelaide.
Adelaide, yes. Ball was down Adelaide's forward line for maybe 10 minutes of that quarter. Yeah, right. And we just got a quick turnover. Bang, up comes these forwards, and it's Ginnivan and it's McCreary that are kicking to Ollie Henry in the pocket, and Ollie Henry picks up a goal from the boundary line. And I'm just like, what the hell is happening? They're just so quick with ball at hand. These kids are really, really good, and they're going to be good for a long time. But I think it's more the system that's allowing this, and not necessarily the player. And that's where they're getting all these extra points, and no one's really saw it coming. Like, no one saw it in the preseason, and we're all seeing it now. So, yeah.
Chris,
Yeah, mate.
does McCreary's injury help Ginnivan scoring over the next few weeks?
I don't think so, no. It'll be like for like replacement for him.
So if you already have them, you're like, sweet, this is like lucking out gold. Otherwise, don't go out of your way because there are better options, right? Yep.
Look, yeah. I think if you're looking for a good forward option and you want someone who's actually going to be maybe an on-field scorer, then I think he's an option. But I just don't think that there's that many people. Like only 16% have Xerri, and he's just much better.
Yep.
So I don't know how you're going to look at getting these guys in your team. I was actually thinking of this the other day. I'm like, man, the forward options, they're everywhere this year, eh? They are everywhere.
To the point where even if I do all the trades I want this week, I was like, I have to keep in mind that I need Martin next week. So I can't kind of sacrifice, because then I'm like, well, who am I going to trade out for Martin next week? I'm looking going, well, the worst player in my team is McDonald, and he's not even that bad at Hawthorn. So I'm like, I can't do those trades.
And then you're like, let's say McDonald, right? 117K, going to be mid forward soon. That's one of the guys that you could also look at here as a trade-in target. He's not scoring terribly. Wingard's just gone down, securing up some job security for him. And there's just like, why would you trade him out of your team? He's going to make 150K. Like, so yes, yeah, probably Ginnivan's going to make 150K too. But if he's not on your field, why are you making that trade?
I agree. Yeah, McDonald, I do agree. Most people already have him anyway.
Smith, tell us about your thoughts on those guys, because I know that you've been hot on Ginnivan, I think, this week.
Yeah, and I thought with like Kruger looked really good and McCreary, but both of them being out for a month. So Mason Cox will come back in for Kruger, who won't score anywhere near as well as what Kruger looked like. I thought Kruger could have been a nice little in for you guys. He actually moved around, played some ruck time. Definitely had potential as being a better player. So I think Cox more brings that ball to ground. Obviously he has his, if it was a final, it'd be a different story. But outside of that, Cox can't mark the ball.
Final against Richmond, you mean?
Yeah, it's only finals against Richmond.
Yep.
But I'll be honest, mate. He gets, honestly, his arms get chopped in every single marking contest. Every single one.
But you know what I mean? The ball hits the deck with him, brings those small guys in.
Yeah.
Ginnivan's getting more up the ground as a half forward. Which means, sometimes floats up on that wing when the day cost us float, and, especially Josh pushes up there too. So, he does get a bit more up the ball. I really like him. I think he finds the ball well, hits up those forwards. He's a good kick inside 50. I don't know about the new haircut. I think he went out and dyed his hair today.
No dice.
Probably might be getting a bit ahead of himself there. So, but,
Swizz, you aren't like a Rachele owner, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not.
No, so I would actually quite favour going this trade over going someone that's 75% owned and hope that Rachele actually goes and gets some forward pocket time. But that's a strategic option.
Collingwood's a better team than Adelaide, and they're going to win more games and score more points.
Thanks, mate.
And Ginnivan's going to get up the ground more.
To the people in the back.
Well, mate, surely no one from South Australia gets this. They're half an hour behind us, so.
Wow.
Collingwood's actually got good players that can pass to him. You've got that good midfield, Adams, DeCoe, Lipinski, Pendles, and you've got the two Dacos boys. So Ginnivan hitting them up. If I had to choose probably one or the other, I'm going Ginnivan.
Yeah, fair enough.
Rachele's going to have. There's going to be games in Adelaide's forward line, and this is what I said. There's going to be weeks where he's going to come out and kick 4 or 5 goals because this kid can seriously play. But there's going to be other weeks where Adelaide aren't going to see a ball in the forward line, and he's going to go goalless. And that's where I think Ginnivan's just going to more ticky scoring over through possessions.
And that's what I like about his scoring. I do is that the way that they're playing, the system that they're playing in, he's getting just more of the ball. I don't hate it. The one thing I'll say about Rachele is that mid forward is quite valuable. Yeah, I look at the forwards in my team, especially on the pine. I'm like, man, I wish they had mid swing just so I could be flexible with them in a trade. And the fact that I can't is really, really annoying. Like, the most annoying thing is Nick Martin not having midfielder flexibility. It actually kills my team every time I put him in. But, you just got to do it. So that is a consideration as well in a trade like that.
Yeah, but for example, if I was to trade Ward out, I would probably look at putting Brodie or somebody like that in the midfield anyway.
Yeah, on your field.
And then bring Ginnivan in if that's the way I was going to go. So, and remember, it's only, 4 weeks away from some of these guys picking up dual position. Like, if I've still got young McDonald or somebody like that in my team, they're going to pick up dual position.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I can't wait. I'm literally hanging out for Nick Dacos to go into my defensive line and make it look a whole lot better. So that is part of my consideration when I'm looking at, do I want to bring in a Bowie or something or other, which we'll get into. The fact that
Probably
Nick Dacos he'll be on forward, which it will be. But I just want to touch on these other couple of rookies first of all. So we'll go with talking about Stevens and Hinge and just kind of tie off the cheap end. and then that way we can then get into these mid prices and premiums and the
Yeah,
rest of it.
sounds good.
Strategic. Okay, so Stevens is one now. I don't have Stevens, and Stevens is probably one of the more ones I think being spoken about or traded in. I think it's a couple of percent at this point. A few people waiting on teams, but he's 31% owned. Scored a 95 on the week just gone in Buddy Franklin, which holy shit, Buddy Franklin stayed up and watched that game. Shout out as well to everyone that was at the game. Zane was at the game. I believe Pistol as well. Shout out to Pistol. Boys, literally the best scenes I've seen in ages. I was like, holy shit, I was kind of scared for his life. I'm claustrophobic. I could not deal with everything that was happening. Absolutely outstanding. Now, Stevens, for me, we speak about Sydney's easy run, right? So we tied that into, who was the other person?
Heeney,
which is another, McCartin as well, which is what we're tying into. But their run is absolutely ridiculous. This week they play the Bulldogs, harder game there. Obviously, Bulldogs have lost 2, so they'll be really coming out firing. North, Eagles, Hawks, Lions, Suns, Essendon, and then it's like Carlton, Richmond, who also league points. So I think as far as points being available in that midfield, Stevens is definitely someone who I want to get in my side, but I'm not sure if I want to move heaven and earth to bring in someone that's 167,000. You know, is it worth trading a Mead to a Stevens just to be able to get more cash, possibly a loophole on field? Like, boys, where do you stand with Stevens?
If I could do that trade, because remember I sent this to the boys, I'm $100 short of friggin' bringing Mead to Stevens, which if I was to do a 3-way trade, with
you
the guys
need $100 more.
I need $100 more. Like, Supercoach is just trolling me right now. It was good. Like, he hit up on those wings, played awesome game against the Cats, and it sort of exposed because of the speed. The one thing that we didn't get to see, week 1, Swans didn't have Lloyd. Week 2, they didn't have McInerney. So I don't know how much that changes things, but I think it does, because McInerney goes back to the wing and they probably play the ball through him, where this week they didn't have they didn't have McInerney to play through that wing. So I think Stevens will either go to the defensive wing, or he might even be the one that starts off the ground. So I do like him, because I think he is in that best 22 and he's proven that he can score, but we haven't seen Sydney with their full complement.
That's a very valid point. Mm-hmm. And Chris was already skeptical that he was best 22. Chris, so where are you standing right now?
I've been skeptical of it for a while, but I suppose when you start these best 22s at the start of the year, right, what you don't take into consideration is that round 1, there's going to be 4 injuries. Round 2, there's going to be a couple of injuries.
Or COVID.
Yeah, and so he's been able to stick around regardless. And
how long's McInerney out?
No, it was only the 1 week, wasn't he? Yeah, it was COVID. Yeah.
McInerney, no, I thought it was a knee hyperextension of the knee. And it was he got the last minute of play, he had like a hyperextension of the knee.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they were tossing up whether he would be fit for round 1, and he just didn't get up. But whether he has recovered is going to be another test.
McInerney played round 1.
Yeah, he played round 1. I'm saying in the last minute he came off, and then they spoke about it in the conference, and then it was like saying he hyperextended his knee or had a knee issue.
So anyway, so here's a question then. So do I? Oh no, this is an off-pod question. I could get Ginnivan instead of Dylan Stevens.
Oh, I don't know.
Keep that for your own pod, mate.
It's hard.
Sorry, guys. This is 72
hard
talk. I shouldn't be talking to you guys about this.
Focus on points on field, you muppet. It's a hard week though, right? It's a hard week. Yes.
Tracking the information about McInerney. McInerney's a test this week.
Yep, he was a test last week.
And Lloyd's coming back, right? Oh, he was back.
Yeah, he
this
got
week.
101.
Lloyd came back this week, so Lloyd replaced McInerney.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We haven't seen the Swans with both McInerney and Lloyd. And now Papley's only 2 weeks away as well. So that's another guy that's got to come out of that side. So Warner missed the first week too. So Warner naturally came back and looked so good.
Warner's ridiculous.
He's a really good footballer. So we were talking about, is it Campbell that goes out? They don't have too many actually. Like obviously Shedlock or Sheldrick or whatever his name is goes out as the sub. Yeah, so if McInerney's right, McInerney comes into the side. Sheldrick goes out. So then you've got to put one of those guys as sub, which probably is Campbell or Wicks. I'm probably leaning towards.
Or Wicks,
probably Campbell.
Fair call.
Yep. So Stevens stays in the top 22.
But maybe goes bench.
But then if they don't have any other injuries and Papley comes back in, well, Stevens is the next out. Or at least a sub. Yeah. And if he's named sub, that's going to kill your scoring potential there.
Fucking subs. Hey,
What
there'll be
we
nothing
know
worse,
is
him
that
named
he's
sub.
definitely in the 20 to 25
Yep.
players.
He's even in
somewhere
that
there.
20. I'd say the 24. Like he's that sub, or he might be the first one squeezed out. But there'll be nothing worse than him going say 90 again next week. Then say Papley comes back, he's named sub, and then he comes on the last quarter, scores 10, and all of a sudden he got 90, 90, 10. Like
Yeah.
the more I talk about it, the more I don't want this guy.
Hey, look, it's definitely fair enough, and it is a consideration that you probably should look at.
I'm glad we've got Swizz because I'm definitely not getting. I've been looking.
No,
for
and I've been,
been.
yeah, and it's one of those funny ones because like based on his week just gone, you're like, oh well, maybe cash generation could be there, but it is definitely a consideration when you look at the people coming in as well. Just thinking about Chad Warner, boys, it's almost like Dead Letter Circus. We need a song like this is the warning. Yeah, this is the warning. It's like warning.
I like it.
We need to do that.
Shut up.
That's not a song.
Outside of that, I think that Hinge is the other one. Now,
Hinge.
I've been looking at Hinge as a huge option in my team because a lot of people are going down to Bowie, who I think we should probably transition to next.
Yes.
But Hinge is
I thought it was Bowie.
Hinge is really the only other sort of rookie that is really an on-field scoring option, right? Outside of Paddy McCartin.
Yep.
It's basically him and Hinge. And if you don't have Hinge or if you don't have Paddy McCartin, then he's an option if you've got 5 in defence and you want to go down from Whitfield. And that's where I'm looking at doing it. So if I'm going Whitfield down to someone in that back line, I'm looking at bringing in Hinge because that's the one that I didn't have. Now, I actually want to know from you guys because I saw him on the weekend. I thought he was all right. It wasn't amazing, but he got an 84. First week, he had a really good first half and then died in the arse.
Well, you know why, though? Because he had to become more accountable. Scholl, they had an injury in defence, in deep defence. Scholl was their sub who can play halfback, flank, and wing. So pretty much was like, cool, well, we've got an injury back here. You can play accountable because they already said he can play tall and small. So they went, Hinge, you can fuck off back here and do this role. And Scholl came on and absolutely tore it up. And it did change things. But obviously, we know Miller obviously got shit canned and need to go get form. So I think Hinge is definitely a good option.
Well, what happens when Miller comes back? Is Hinge a risk of getting out of that team?
So I'll tell you a bit more about that. So this week it was Sloan that was the one that went off. So Hinge was about 50, and then Hinge went and filled that role more on the wing midfield. So then he ended up scoring like 30 odd in the last quarter. So he is, I think, a bit of break, in case of break class, he's going to fill different roles. So, but with Scholl looking so good at halfback, they even at one point had Dawson playing full forward, which was the weirdest thing going because it was like, okay, what's going? Like he's meant to be their halfback wingman. But because Scholl was there, they were like, oh, we'll keep Hinge sort of midfield and we'll move Dawson forward. It'd be interesting to see what happens when Laird comes back. But I still think Hinge is going to be around that wing halfback role. And if an injury goes down, then they just move Hinge to fill that gap. So you're going to have some weeks where he's going to score really well if he has to go into the midfield. Unfortunately, other weeks he might have to go fill the gap down in the back line or up in the forward line. But
I think what we can all agree on is that I think Hinge is best 22 because he can play tall, he can play small, he can go wing, he can move around, and he is very, very, very valuable in this climate.
Is he a must-have rookie though? Because
if you had money for Bowie though, I'd be going him over Hinge.
Oh yes.
I think just based on money, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
but
so do you have to have him? I think if you have McCartin and you have maybe 4 other primos, I think you'll be fine. If you have 3 to 4 premiums, Bowie, and then McCartin, I think you don't need Hinge. So it's one of those ones. If Hinge is your D5, I think you're okay. If you can push McCartin to the bench or be able to loophole between them, I think that's probably better. But is he a must-have? No, I don't think so. I think Bowie ranks him if you have enough cash. If you don't have enough and you're having issues...
I think if you have enough cash, you just go to Bowie. But a lot of the... with the trades I wanted to do, I couldn't.
Or if you have Gibcus over Hinge, then I think you're probably better off just...
I don't have Gibcus.
Hinge is not going to make $100,000 more... Stanley. Hinge is not going to make $100,000 more than Stanley.
Gibcus is your bench player.
Yeah, I agree, but Hinge is not going to make probably $100,000 to $150,000 more than Gibcus, so you wouldn't waste a trade on someone who won't make you $100,000. Yeah, and which is pretty much the premise for a lot of our discussions. Oh, I can move to this rookie who can make me $150,000. It's like, yeah, but are they going to make $100,000 to $150,000 more than the guy you're trading? Because
we probably should have opened we should open the show, and I might open up at my own pod, my week reveal saying that because that's a great point. Like that's the whole say. People asking me about, say, Ward down to Stevens. I'm like, well, Ward still got 20 possessions on the weekend. Yeah, he butchered the ball early. It was much better in the second half, and especially when they got Wingard's injury. Ward looked really good. They kicked that goal, started to score points where he was awful early. Is Dylan Stevens going to score, make 100 to 150,000 more than Ward? No, he isn't. Ward's probably still going to make
100,
50,
even
50
100
to 100.
He might have
And where
a good
Stevens,
game.
what's he going to go, 150 to 200? So you're making a trade for possibly 100,000 if Stevens, and who's more likely to stay in the team if you've got a full side? Well, Ward's probably more top 22
And I
than
think
what Dylan Stevens is.
I think Ward gets better if there's an injury or COVID at Hawks, which has been kind of lingering. Ward, we know from Amy's series, if Ward goes into that midfield 100%, into the guts, he can go 100. So it's one of those ones where you might, and that's what I've kind of been toying up with because Ward hasn't been great, right? But I think it's one of those players, the more you get experience at AFL level, he's someone that could actually shine through. And I've seen awesome things from Ward, but I've seen him butcher the next possession. So,
and that's what you're saying about Gipkus versus Hinge. It's like it's all relevant and going, okay, if you're making this trade, how much for the rookie discussion, because the points are a bit different if we get into Whitfield versus a premium or something like that. But the rookie that you're bringing in, you've got to be confident that they're going to make a lot more than like Mead, maybe. But if you're talking about say Hugh Dixon or Baldwin, probably not making that much cash, if any. So that's a good trade because if you're bringing in Hayes or Martin or Xerri, you're getting the points, but you're also making 150, 200k more than what the guy that you're going to have.
Yep.
So
that's probably the best piece of information ever.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, the only reason that I was looking at Hinge realistically was to get someone like Brayshaw in. It's really the only way I can do that is obviously I've got to go out of a defender, which is Whitfield, most likely, and then into a rookie to go into a premium elsewhere, if that makes sense.
Sounds like another great thing you can talk about on your own podcast, Chris.
True. But anyway, so looking into
Bowie. We have to.
Bowie. Well, I don't know
it's
how
Bowie.
it is,
I've heard them say Bowie. So, and I was saying...
I like his name as David Bowie.
Well, I feel like we need to start calling him Mike. It's like, hi, I'm Mike Bowie.
Mike Bowie.
Mike Lowry.
Slap.
Now, 7% of teams...
I'm glad that Smith's got that one. This guy's over here still like, what
I'm trying to run the fucking show, mate.
You made a joke? That was funny and relevant.
I'm not used to you making any jokes. I'm the joke maker here, right?
I'm the jokey joke maker.
I'll have to listen to that one back, boys. I won't make you repeat it. Anyway, Bowie, 7% of teams, scored 151 on the weekend. Didn't do well, I think 58 the first week, so okay, right? But a coach came out saying, look, he basically played the same role as the week before, except the week before he was probably a little bit more defensive and didn't get rewarded with the ball. So this time, obviously, Gold Coast, he was rewarded. And boys, I watched this Gold Coast game because...
he's taking intercept marks.
It's free to air. But he was literally...
He was literally taking... I was like, fuck off, he's taking intercept marks.
And mopping up.
No one anywhere near him. I'm like... How is there no one? This guy's like 175 centimeters and he's taking intercept marks.
But he was mopping up though. He was clean. His decision making, as far as the eye test from me, not even marking aside, right? Because you've got Lever coming back in, you've got May, so they got those boys taking marks. He is decision making in the contest when it was getting busy, right? He was actually literally trying to go, okay, wonderful, all busy, and then just doing a nice kick to a person that's free. Right, decision making's there, spatial awareness is there, his role is there. Right, Salem is out and will be for the short term anyway. Was he had ankle surgery out for like a month or so? Right, so was it knee? No, knee. Sorry, minor knee surgery. So I think the role's there. It has to go through him. So it's very, very, very likely that he will do well. And here's the other thing. I think Bryce Mitchell said I think even if he goes 80, he's still making you 114,000 over the next 2 weeks if he scores 80. Now, if he comes out and actually scores better than 80, which by his ceiling now looks actually quite possible, he could make you an absolute fuck ton of cash, boys.
I'll tell you the good and the bad. So the good and the good
the bad's
is
his name.
he was likened to Caleb Daniel in the role that he's playing and how he plays his football. Now we obviously know when Caleb Daniel went behind the ball at the Doggies, he was very consistent with his scoring and he had a fairly good ceiling. So, fairly high floor. The bad is this is trap written all fucking over it. Now, I am going to preface this by saying this. I said it last year, and I'll say it again. This is Tex Walker 2.0. Last year, everyone jumped onto Tex Walker for the cash grab.
He did make cash.
And he did. But then what happened, Benny? What happened to you with Tex Walker?
I got stuck with fucking Tex.
And why did you get stuck with Tex?
Because he had a shit round, and then he had another shit round. I had to get rid of him.
And then you had other problems in your team. You had other trades to make and blah, blah, blah. Now, that could be saved this year because we've got that extra trade boost. However, I would rather be upgrading people with that trade boost rather than sideways trading a mid-pricer. And I feel like, very early in the piece, people are just looking for him to trade into their team because they have so many fucking problems that he just solves a problem for them. Like, let's bring this guy in. I'm happy to put a 250k guy into my defense that may score 50s every fucking week, or he may have a fucking blinder every week. Like, you don't know, because it fixes me to get Cripps, or it fixes me to get Hewett, or it fixes me to get.
And I'll tell you the
Heeney
most
or
likely
whatever
scenario
fuck it
of
is.
him coming into your team. The only one that makes sense is if you have McGovern, and he'll be our next segue talking on, right? McGovern. Now, if you have McGovern, he's the same kind of price point. He has a good score in his cycle, right? Defenders are kind of a bit shit. So if you have 3 premiums, right, and you have McGovern, like 3 premium defenders and you have McGovern, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. If you have 4, it gets a little bit more complex because that way maybe McGovern can go, so not McGovern, McCartin can go into defense or swing through into your forward line. That becomes a bit better. But I've seen people trading Whitfield down to Bowie, and if you are not supplementing that trade with another premium, your team becomes shitter.
It does.
If you start with 12 premiums and you downgrade a premium to a guy like Bowie because, good cash grab, you're going to be spending 2 trades and hopefully make 150,000. Without supplementing and getting a premium elsewhere, your team literally becomes more shit.
And it's I mean, that may not be necessarily too bad in league play, but in overall, it's fucking terrible. Swizz, your take on Bowie, mate?
I was trying to bloody get my wife to come and ask a question there, but it wasn't happening. It's one of the, it's that whole, if you're going to jump on, you've got to jump off at the right time, but are you willing to use 2 trades for that? The one thing, like, I don't mind it so much. Say you had Whitfield McGovern, which is what I have. So if you can do McGovern down to, say, Heeney, so you're keeping that, if you think Heeney's going to be top 6 in that premium, and you put McGovern becomes Bowie, well, then there's some merit to it because McGovern's doesn't look like he's going to make anywhere near the cash that Bowie's doing, and you're still keeping that premium and you still got that one mid-pricer. So that's probably where I'm looking at it. But if you just said, okay, I'm doing a straight Whitfield to Bowie, and then I'm going to try to turn Bowie back into Whitfield in a few weeks or another premium, I'm not that big of a fan. I know everybody's looking at it and going, oh, well, the D's are playing Melbourne, playing the Bombers next week, and so that should be easy for him. The Lions backman didn't score that well this week. And I was talking up Salem with Ben, Bowie last week with Ben because of Salem being out. But I thought, he could be a solid 70 sort of guy, 75 guy. He's only playing his 10th game. But, he got lucky because the Gold Coast game, it was so wet. The conditions didn't suit anyone. Not being like the big tools were dropping the intercept mark. So he was just bombing up and getting intercepts because it was easier for the smaller guys to sort of take those marks and then run off. It wasn't a good day for the tools. So I'm expecting with the conditions a bit better this week against the Bombers, you might see May and Gawn back there taking the intercept marks where Bowie's probably not going to do that. He's still going to be able to score as he runs off and that. But a lot of those times, especially with these young guys, you sometimes see a big score. And we've brought up, was it the Scott factor?
Yep.
From a few years ago. And we've talked about Rachele. They go out and score 100, and then the next week they score 30. So Bowie could very easily go back and score 40, 50 this week if another Melbourne player's back there, or if they're not seeing as much ball down there like the Lions back line did. Yeah. Didn't see much for the final 3 quarters last week.
Yeah, I actually think that, I think his floor is probably somewhere between 50 to 70. I don't think it's as low as 40 or anything like that. But do you really want to trade a 250k player into your team that has a floor of 50 to 70? trade him into your team? Really? Like, I don't know. Again, look, if the cash grab's there, right? It is. The 150 is in his cycle. You're not going to get those points. I don't think he's got that backup in him. I don't think he'll get anywhere near that again this year. But he's obviously going to make some cash. So I'm not necessarily against the cash play. I think what I'm more against is make sure you jump off. Just make sure you do. Don't leave it an excuse. What happened last year is that people were like, after another 2 weeks, people were like, oh my gosh, Tex is a guaranteed top 6 forward. Like I'm keeping him and I don't care. And then he got a 1 week injury and people are like, oh, well, I'm holding him now. Because he's top 6, right? He's guaranteed top 6.
And then you're screwed. But I think when you look at Salem being out and obviously the comments about Caleb Daniel, there are these kind of defenders that do pop up and you undermine them. Like Ridley, you kind of like, oh, and then all of a sudden you wait for a few more weeks and then 4 or 5 weeks and you're like, fuck, he's 430K and he's killing it. Yeah. You're like, I've got to bring in this guy.
Or Aaron Hall when people just have it. You like that one, Sis?
Fuck.
Good. Nah, but look, there's every chance. I think there's no chance he's anywhere near a keeper.
No,
but the cash play is there. But just make sure you get off. And the one thing that is really great about these trade boosts this year is that you can use them really effectively like that. So just make sure you do get off at the right time. I personally won't be doing it. I don't think it's it really is beneficial for my team. I'm chasing points rather than chasing cash. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, mate, I'm like, every time I try to do it, it doesn't actually help my other trades.
Yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
And if you're looking at, okay, like a quick, vote between you guys there. Are you taking Bowie or Rachele?
Rachele every time.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Are you taking like we
I'd
could
go
sit
Bowie.
there, Bowie or Hayes?
Hayes.
Yeah. And that, so there's other would you go 1 week early with Martin with now that we know Merritt's out?
Yep.
Over Bowie.
I actually, so in multiple scenarios with my team, I've looked at getting Martin in as a trade boost, but I won't look at that. I'm trying to avoid that if I can.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
But there's 3 guys straight off there, and then we talked about Ginnivan. So that's 4 guys straight off there who've got better cash. Dylan Stevens, that's 5 now. Better cash making potential than what Bowie has. And though, yes, people don't have some people.
Don't bring Stevens into the Bowie
Well, it probably
conversation.
does. But he probably does have the same good cash making that Bowie, because Bowie's got 2 good weeks of cash making, because until that 150 drops out of his
But he
score.
also has a better role and in a better team.
Well, he does, but then sometimes that doesn't bode well if the ball doesn't, like, the ball's been the Gold Coast played well. The ball went to the Gold Coast half forward line a lot, but they just didn't have the forwards. And
he's never traditionally been a Supercoach scorer.
Who?
Yeah,
This is his. He's literally had one.
Bowie?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
that's
had
fine.
one
But he
good
was
game, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
but he was that role was already his. He was someone I was already looking at in the Amy series as a potential, someone to keep an eye on. Now, it wasn't like, hey, he set the world alight. But for the eye test that I saw the other day, it's like that role is his. Salem is now gone, so that role is now definitely his, right? He is someone, if he bangs out another 100 to 110 this week, which is possible, like I'm not saying, but if he goes well, by chance, he goes well again this week, he is fucking making so much money, it's astronomical. Like it's one of those ones, because he has a 158 or 150, whatever it is in his cycle. If he just happens to go well this week, it's huge. If he shits the bed, then if you didn't get him, you're like, ha, ha, ha. And if you got him, you're like, oh, well, that kind of sucks, right? But by chance, if he goes well again this week or next week, his price will skyrocket. Ridiculous amounts.
I mean, look, it's possibility.
It's possibility.
It's also a possibility that Lockie Whitfield comes out this week and goes 140.
Oh, real quick though, if you had
sorry to burst everyone's bubble.
I know, right? Well, Whitfield is literally looking at
Shitfield.
Whitfield is on 5 of the most traded out scenarios that I can see right now. It's Whitfield to Cripps, it's Whitfield to Hewett, it's Whitfield to Hall, it's Whitfield to Heeney, and it's Whitfield to Lockie Neal. I don't know how 1,324 people don't have Lockie Neal, but out of those scenarios though, which ones do you think are actually plausible?
The Cripps.
You know what? I just want to say one thing before we go. I think this is the first time in a long time a large portion of the Supercoach community, like the hardcore players, have got this starting 22 completely wrong.
Yep.
By not having a guy like Patrick Cripps and disregarding a guy like Georgie Hewett.
Shout out to Dr. Supercoach.
You own this.
No, it's one of those things, and I was a little bit skeptical, but it was like, well, price point Hewett made sense because what I wanted to do with my team, it made sense, and I got lucky. I don't know about lucky because you were big on him, so I was kind of following your coattail on that. You followed my coattail on English.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
but this Whitfield trade scenario is a large knee-jerk reaction from just having the wrong setup, and it's the only thing that they can do in their sides because it's the only player that they really have with enough
money.
Cash.
Yeah,
that they can actually make a play with.
Him to Hewett gives you 100K. So, like, wonderful. I can try and go Berry to a Rowell or these other kind of things because they're like, well, that money will allow me to do something.
So, it's a bit reactionary. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. Whitfield hasn't looked good. So,
No,
I'm not saying that's...
2,000 people going Whitfield to Hall. Boys, what do you reckon? Hall. Aaron Hall.
Currently my trade.
I'm going to butt in just because, obviously, we're bringing up Whitfield. So obviously I was at that game.
Sorry, you're not allowed to talk, buddy.
No, I can. I'm not going to brag about Richmond.
Don't worry, Swizz. You go ahead. I'll mute this fucker if he keeps going.
But so I was there with Grimo. I was also there with another mate who was a Caldwell supporter, and George. I caught up with George there too. So shout out to him.
Shout out to George.
Flew over from Adelaide and was there for the Collingwood Adelaide game and stuck around for Richmond GWS.
We know George is an avid listener because he steals all our shit.
Yeah. So no, he was good.
Kidding.
And it's funny because we had we were discussing Whitfield, and it's funny because there's four of us there, and we all got different opinions about it. But I thought he actually still had the role as much as Cummins and was taking some of those kickouts. But Whitfield was the first kickout guy. But once he fucked up a kick out, that was it. And then they swapped over and then they gave him another chance in the second half and he took the kick outs there. So, and I've seen that with a couple of teams. You've got the kick out until you fuck it up. So he fucked that up. There was two other turnovers that he had where one wasn't his fault, but he kind of was put under pressure. But another one was clear, like he was in space and absolutely butchered the ball. Now, the thing is, they're like, well, surely he can clean that up. But if he is carrying this sort of groin injury,
I'm thinking
maybe he can't. Like, he still found the ball in the back line. But I didn't see him move as well as I've seen him move in the past. Like the linking up with Kelly and Taranto and those guys in the midfield, it just wasn't happening. So he was kind of, sort of calling for the ball, a bit like Aaron Hall, but was actually calling for it in the wrong positions. So I'm a bit worried about him. Like we know that his potential, and he could come out and smash, a
I'm
score
telling
this
you now,
week.
boys,
But
it's 100% OP.
yeah.
Because
This
is what
and
happened.
I don't want a player like that who's had injury concerns in the past, who could be out any week. If I can move him now, because I can see it happening, he might score 110 this week, and then the next week it'll be like, oh, we're resting him, and then knowingly on Cameron,
That's
week
the
becomes a 3
okay,
week.
so
injury.
I've got 2 points,
Nail on
right?
the head,
I've got 2 points. Number one, I'm mostly concerned because GWS don't tell you shit
Absolutely.
until it's
Don't.
too late, right? That's
6
literally.
weeks will go past,
And
and we'll all be going still on Whitfield, and it'll be
Right.
like, oh, that's right, he had a fucking OP the whole time.
Yeah. So that's concern number one, right?
But before you get concerned, number two, this is the other worry about the Giants because he links really well with, say, Kelly. They had a chance to get back and win that game, and they put Josh Kelly down the friggin' full fucking forward, why they were actually a chance to win, which either tells me one or two things. Leon Cameron just has fucking no idea what he's doing at the moment, or Josh Kelly's fucking carrying an injury as well and that.
Or they don't want to win. There's 3 scenarios.
Well, that's it. So am I concerned about having a player that, and we said at the start of the year, we said at the wrap-up last year, we do not want fucking GWS players in our side for this fucking reason.
Yeah, he doesn't tell you anything, and that's what probably is
every
most
year
concerning
we
to
start
me.
with GWS.
If I could believe in GWS, I would not trade Whitfield. And even then, I've considered. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I won't trade Whitfield because why would you trade a premium? And he's only had a couple of down rounds, but he does look like he's carrying an injury, and they haven't told us shit, which is typical GWS, and that's why this knee-jerk reaction is kind of coming out. And the second point, boys, is do I? Because you know how I feel about this. Do I want to take out an injury-prone Whitfield for a guy that I can't fucking stand? Yet I feel like is also a must-have guy that's 70,000 more. He's a must-have, but also injury-prone player in Aaron fucking Hall.
And he just did a hammy, like what?
Yeah, like as in, and here's the part. I don't like Aaron Hall. Everyone here knows I don't like Aaron Hall.
Do you like his points that he creates? Because I feel like that's something you could get on board with.
Yeah, of course. If they pay you money, I'll do lots of shit.
No, Smith, you watch next week. Oh, Aaron Hall, boys, get on him. He's the fucking best thing ever. Fuck.
Right. So,
okay, Ben, if it wasn't Aaron Hall, would you consider Lloyd Stewart or Luke Ryan?
100%. And that's the issue, right? So that's why I'm actually one of those scenarios where I'm like, all right, boys, head over heart. My head says he's a must-have. And Whitfield doesn't look like a must-have at this point. So that's why I'm actually considering it. And I'm trying to put the picture out there for everyone on how much I hate Aaron Hall and how I told everyone that I would not be putting Aaron Hall in my fucking side. But even now I'm saying, I'm now saying that Aaron Hall actually looks like the best option outside of everyone else that you own.
Yeah. Did you watch the West Coast North game?
Sorry, Chris, we were sitting. So the difference the week before when I was talking about sort of sitting where Gipkus was playing, Charlie Curnow and that. So this week we were sitting right behind the GWS cheer squad. So I got to have a clear view of a half a footy of GWS's backline set up. And Whitfield was down there and he had the role and he just could not get his body to do what he needed to do. And that. So I'm completely off him now.
I'm fucking cracking up. This is great. Chris just got sat the fuck down. Swiss is like, sorry, Chris, and then keeps going, and Chris was forced to shut up.
I was talking about my man Aaron Hall.
Oh, well, you go.
So here's what I've noticed the last couple of weeks with North Melbourne, man. They're again, like we said in the preseason, they're still fucking shit. Like they're playing West Coast with what, like 15 waffle players in the 22 or something stupid. Like I don't even know.
Not many, but some of their players their players on their list should be waffle players. Go on.
A shitload, right?
But
and they're still chipping it around in the back line like they're playing keepings off because they don't know how to move the ball forward. It's insane. They're just waxing it off each other. Jack Zeebel's still like the 4th rated defender.
Oh,
it's fucking stupid.
Don't say waxing each other,
Chris. If North had actually lost that game, would have Gill just came out and said you're out of the league? Like, fuck it, we're playing with 17 teams.
I'd be okay with it. Tassie needs a team after all.
They were fucking and we didn't see much of it because we were sitting at the London Tavern. Actually, we were sitting opposite that fucking Stan McClure and that. And that, I think I said that to the exchange boys. I'm like, who fucking wears a hat while you're having a fucking sit-down lunch? But anyway.
Did he say you might remember me from such films as? Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such films as The Other Shit Guy.
If there's ever a Richmond game on and you want to come say hello, I'll be at the London Tavern beforehand. But, so what I saw of it is the same. It's like, and that's where Luke McDonald is still appealing for that midfield because McDonald, Zeeble, and Hall, as you said, just wax with each other.
It's crazy to watch, and they just keep going back and forth and back and forth. And Josh Walker, I don't think he's ever seen that much football in his life.
Hey, at Brisbane, he saw plenty of football, thank you.
Well, when they were losing and getting kicked over his head.
Side note, draft leagues, we've already said anyway, if you can get McDonald, 100% get him. I was very big on McGrath, which kind of looks like it might be fucked now with Merritt being out. McGrath might now be a pretty shit midfielder. So it's one of those kind of catch scenarios that you play early on. But McGrath, who are we talking about? McDonald? Draft leagues, 100% defender. Absolutely. I think looks excellent for draft leagues, boys.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I haven't looked at the waivers since we started.
Boys, I looked at the waivers. I picked up Stringer last week, and I'm like, out of how hard it is in draft leagues to get a forward, I got Stringer for free. Not even kidding you. It's fucking ridiculous.
That's a decent gift.
Yeah.
Anyway, Aaron Hall, guys. I think he's going to be the number 1 defender.
I hate to admit
it's just his body. But I mean, let's put this into perspective. It's just his body. It's just Isaac Heeney's body. It's just Jordan De Goey's body. It's just Patrick Cripps' body. It's like, all these guys that you're also looking to trade in, they're also all got injury concerns and body concerns over their careers. That's why they're cheap.
Aaron Hall's not cheap though.
He is though, because his output is much higher.
Like,
Swears, do not join the shit bandwagon.
No, mate, I will, because last year, we know the little start that he had when he had that fucking little, came on as a sub and was scored a 6 and 8-1 and that fucking injury game and that. But from that, what were we talking about? Like from round 8?
Are you talking
about the
greatest showman?
Round 7 is... Yeah.
From now on,
These eyes
Aaron
slowly
Hall will
blinded by
take
the light.
D1. From now on.
He's taking it off Jack Crisp.
Starts tonight. It starts tonight.
Yeah,
Oh,
round
sorry.
7 last year, mate. He averaged 116. And even in that back end with that last sort of 8 games, he averaged 122. Like, this guy's actually underpriced.
Do you know what he averaged from the round I brought him in?
Nothing.
What round
Nothing.
did you bring him in? yeah, of course. You didn't fucking bring him in. You're an idiot.
Yeah, I am.
That's so funny.
Look, that's the only thing
All right,
that cost me a top 10.
Let's go through the man of the moment. I suppose we waited long enough to bring him up, but Paddy Cripps, guys. So
Oh, boys, has to be. Now, Cripps is the guy that... Chris, you told me that you'd be paying out early, so I don't know
pay him
why.
out early. I should really.
You should really, because you're going to get your money back on Fremantle, let's face it. Where's your confidence?
I'm just waiting for him to do his shoulders from carrying Carlton this year again.
Patrick Cripps has to be 37% of teams. I think when we brought him in, he was like 30 flat. So he's going up. He's going up even more. Break even of negative 28. I believe he's going up. Well, it looks like it's going up about 110,000 over the next 2 weeks based on his projections. Someone that I believe you definitely could have in your teams. Now, here's the reasons why, boys. And Swizz will pass to you first. Number one, he's untaggable. Right, he's getting contested ball, he's getting actual ball. He's still being Patrick Cripps in having shit disposals at times. That's Patrick Cripps. But he's getting more meters gained than he has ever before. So that's why his price is actually so cheap. He's 454K. You're getting a guy that I do believe now could be top 10 based on the fact he's getting meters gained. And his ceiling is fucking freakish, boys, that if he actually pulls it together and doesn't butcher some kicks on his left foot, because he has no left foot, he is a guy that, with his ceiling, could average you 120 plus for this year, Swizz.
Well, the two Carlton boys, Cripps and Hewett,
I love it.
are now 40. Well, Cripps is now 50%, been traded in by 13% this week, and Hewett's 48%, traded in by 10%. So if you're like nearly everyone else is jumping on, there's nearly no risk with that because so many people are on them. So from that point of view, I've got a lot more confidence now that everyone, but the only difference is people have had to waste a trade and they've missed out on those first 2 rounds. But he's doing everything. Well, actually, like Ben and you and I talked about this, as the Michael Voss factor coming in, getting him to play like Vossi used to.
Yep.
He's over those injuries, finds the balls, getting forward and kicking goals. He's laying those tackles. That tackle of McRae was fucking brilliant. So he's just an absolute ball. And even still, if they're going to tag, it's still going to be Walsh. Like Walsh had 34 touches. Like he didn't dispose the ball as well as he normally would. But first game back, it's going to happen. But Walsh is going to find his feet and start. Like he could be the best wingman in the competition this year, Walsh, because
Walsh is
they
the best
don't
wingman.
need him to go in the midfield and play CBAs as much as they did, because they've got Hewett, they got Xerri, Kennedy's playing so well, so Walsh can just run around and do whatever he wants.
Yep.
The tag is going to him.
Play him as a loose behind the ball for
Mate, he can do no wrong.
Run forward
But
from halfback.
That first centre bounce where Cripps got it, they all just draw to him because they know it takes 3 men to bring down a Cripps, and he handballs it to an offensive side. It's literally ridiculous, boys.
And it goes on with both him and, if you want to trade Whitfield, this was the one that we haven't mentioned, it's Hewett. So the two Carlton boys are hand in hand. If you don't have both of them, then probably you've got to find a way to get both of them in. And so Whitfield down to Hewett's getting you 100K. So you've got to somehow, if you've got, say, a Berry type, I think Berry to Cripps is 200K. So that's 100K you found there. You've got to get him up to Cripps.
Yep. Now, just quickly before we go on to anyone else, I do want to touch on Cripps. He's got to be a look. You're looking at him right now as a top 8 mid, right?
Has to be. Otherwise, if you don't believe he's at least a top 10, you don't touch him.
At top 8 pricing, you will not find another midfielder for the rest of the season at 450K for a top 8 mid.
But even on value, when you
won't get him.
Tom Mitchell was like low 500s, and you're like, based on value, he could go 115 plus. This is last year when we're like, okay, and he started averaging you 118, 119, 120. Value points per dollar, Cripps at the moment is cheaper than you will find any other premium midfielder this year.
And you also got to take into consideration, Swizz, we made this comment last week to each other. That game that he had that he got a 120 first week? That could have been a 150, 160. Easy.
It could have been.
Easy money. Like easy money. Like we thought it, we looked at it that first quarter, I think he had 5 clangers as his first 6 possessions.
Yeah, 132. And the first quarter was Yeah, but they were trying to find how to work with him and Xerri and Hewett as well. And, his first game back, you're always going to be rusty. And we've seen a lot of the players, they've started off, they're trying to find that feet because, you're into a new season. But once he cleaned that up, he just looks so good. And they look for him. He's the captain. They want him to, be the leader and take on those big moments. And then he wants that responsibility too. It is like watching, I wouldn't say Michael Voss because Michael Voss was a superstar, but a slightly lesser version of Michael Voss.
I think
and
it was
he's just in beast mode.
Carlton pod maybe where we spoke about it, saying how maybe it was one of those emails, the infamous emails where Michael Voss was like, "Hey Cripps, watch this video of me. You are me, right? Walsh, you are Simon Black, right? Literally, those two are pretty much the best examples you could ever get as far as watching gameplay. And that's why I thought it would be good for him. Now, when we talk about Carlton, when we talk about Hewett, we talk about looking at Cripps. Hell, even Charlie Curnow comes into this conversation, boys, which I hate to touch on, right? But no, he is relevant because of their draw. Hawthorn, Suns, Port, Dockers, North, and Adelaide. And then
that's a win against Freo.
Even GWS, yeah, it would be. And I thought it was a 50-50. That lock that one in. But even then, Giants.
I've got some things right this year.
Giants after
72, Freo being shit.
Giants haven't started that well, right? Sydney are obviously a good side. And then you've got Collingwood, Essendon, and back to Richmond and the Dockers and Saints and Eagles. It's fucking lit up, boys, for these Carlton players, particularly with Cripps, particularly with Hewett. Right, that draw for the next 10 games, there's only, Sydney?
Yeah.
And that's about it, boys.
And you know
literally.
I will say this as well, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'd really love to toot my own horn.
You fucking love to toot it.
But fucking hell, Hewett again this week, he had 32 disposals and like 25 of them were handballs. And he looked $1,000,000, and it was just so refreshing to come out after the game, and everyone was on how awesome Hewett is. Finally, it's only taken years.
Commentators talking about how underrated he is, and then it's like, mate, everyone out of Melbourne knows how good Hewett is.
Trade deadline, I literally lost my mind. Could not believe it. Lost my mind. I was like, so many people in the media coming out bagging Hewett and saying he's a bad pick. They shouldn't have gone for him. This isn't going to fix their list. Blah blah blah.
Jokes on them.
What do you like? Sorry, you want to recant that? Because I'll bring up every single article you wrote about George Hewett and say you were wrong because I did. I retweeted them at the time. So I'm on record months and months and months ago saying that Hewett was amazing, and I'm glad that everyone's coming back.
I followed your coattails. I'm not going to lie.
But they definitely will win against Freo. Hewett again for $400K. Is he going to be? This is the question, right?
He could be top 10 now.
I think he's top 10.
I think so too.
Whether he's top 6,
question
mark.
There's so many around that price point though. But again, for a $400,000 player, when Caleb Daniel got to $400,000, everyone's like, "Oh, geez, Caleb Daniel's so cheap because he had that bad game and then did well from that point on."
Well, Swizz, this is probably a question for you. I'm biased. I think he's the second best mid there, inside mid.
Well, I had Whitfield number 1, so I feel sheepish.
I think Walsh is the best all-round mid, but I think that Cripps is the best inside mid, and then
at Carlton,
yes, Walsh is definitely the best all-round mid
because I'm probably as big on Hewett as what you are. I thought that was just an absolute steal when they got it,
but he's not better.
It reminds me a bit about Jack Steele,
second best.
Oh, inside bid. Sorry,
second best
I still consider Walsh probably better than
and
him.
I made that, and that was my thought at the time. Was the whole, the Tom Mitchell being squeezed out, and there was a few things going on there with, the parent horse didn't like him and stuff like that. But the Swans have got a lot of depth, a bit like the Giants in that midfield.
Yeah, where they keep just drafting midfielders and
Rowbottom and you look at and Florent, and we talk about Goulden and Mills and Heeney and rah. How does Hewett fit in there? But Hewett, fantastic sort of ball midfielder. But they already had sort of Parker and Kennedy playing that.
Yeah. And Parker's still young. Like Parker's still only 28? Like he's young.
Yeah.
Like,
so where's Hewett? When was Hewett ever going to fit in that? But that was nothing against Hewett and his ability. It was just he could not get the role because he's at the wrong club. And we talk about this sometimes with players. And we get it doesn't make sense. Like when we talked about Bruce originally moving from North Melbourne to Melbourne, it's like, why are you just staying behind, a gun ruck? Why aren't you moving to get the opportunity? where Hewett's gone, well, there's a spot. This club needs, an inside midfielder to help out Cripps. And he's got that opportunity now. And even with the guys like sort of Walsh, and then even like Kennedy and that, you can sort of move them around. He can sit there, be that guy, and no dramas there.
And you know what? He's never
they're
getting
going to be scary.
He's never
when you
fucking
can
getting
rotate.
tagged.
Nope.
Yeah.
That kid is never getting tagged. He might be the guy who does tag. Like, don't get me wrong, but he's never getting tagged.
But even if he tags, as soon as Carlton get the ball, he'll be like a fart in the wind. He'll be off. He'll be gone.
Well, I think the
Gone.
best thing about Hewett is he can win the ball the other way. Like, even when he played tagging roles, he still averaged pretty well as a midfielder. So it's not nearly like amazing, but it's not going to be like, oh, he's got a 40 because he tagged or something stupid like that. Like, the other consideration is obviously what happens when Xerri comes back, and it would have been nice to see him. But I personally think that the top three again, and I've been very, very firm with this. I think it's obviously Cripps and Walsh and then Hewett, the top three. Xerri is obviously part of that mix, but he can play wing and he's very good. Xerri's best attributes is his disposal by foot. So the more you can get him uncontested, the better off his skills are going to come to play. And he's a better kicker of the football. So I do see him as more of an outside runner than someone like Hewett. So I think that him and both Walsh, they both can play outside a lot more than Hewett can play and should play, in my opinion. They're winning games of football. Like, there's nothing right now to suggest to me that Hewett is just all of a sudden going to drop out of a barrel. So
Chris,
it might go down, but it's not going to go down that much.
I think you can either see one or two things. You can either see their first bounce is going to be Cripps, Hewett and Kennedy in there with Xerri and Walsh on the wings, which is going to really give some teams headaches.
Oh, good
or
luck.
It's going to be Kennedy goes to the bench and it might be, say, Cripps, Hewett and somebody else. And then Walsh comes in with Kennedy as the second, change up a bit like sort of the Dogs do and rotate it through.
Yeah.
So you've always got a gun midfielder in there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that's going to cause a lot of headaches for opposition coaches.
Yep. And realistically, if you're at Carlton and you're winning games, who gives a fuck? Like, play some good footy, share the ball around, and just dominate. Like, they have to be happy with those first two rounds. It's the best problem to have. And again, they're soft draw.
I did suggest
So
that
talking
I think
about-
he
actually,
averages
can we-
105, and I think that's accurate. Like, I'm pretty confident.
Hewett?
Yeah, I think at very least.
I think 100 flat is definitely above that. Yeah, so 100 at a base, and which makes him in top 10 consideration. Whereas before, I think I said, I was on the record as saying I think he goes like 90, 95, whereas now how well he has been, I think it's 100 plus easy.
Talking about soft draw and the Blues and everything around that, would you consider Doherty? Do you think he could come back and be top 6 again?
I do, but the problem I've seen with Doherty after being an owner for the last couple of years,
Roller coaster.
he's again captain. This is what we see: the captain's sacrifice for the team more than any other player. This is why Bont is never an option.
Yeah.
And I just feel like with Dockers, what will happen eventually is
even Mills took a sacrifice for a bullet, tagged Paddy Dangerfield. Issue was Paddy Dangerfield was shit that day and Mills tagged him up threefold. But it's true though, because nothing rallies your comrades or your teammates, right?
Yeah.
Then the captain actually doing, hey boys, I'm going to put my hand up. I'm going to do a roll for us today and I'm going to like hang shit on people. And everyone's like, bang, look at the captain leading by example. Callum Mills, 100%. Bontempelli, 100%. If he has to go forward, he doesn't care. Bont doesn't care as long as the team does well.
yeah. And look, with the talent that they've got
But
back
he's not
in
captain.
that back line.
Doherty's not captain.
Isn't he? Hasn't he been
No.
captain for like the last 3 years?
Nah, Cripps is now sole captain, mate. That's why he's like carrying so much load.
Shows how much I know about that shitty team.
Only because of
Carlton.
his health and his recovery. I think he's focusing on that, and therefore he dropped out of the dual captaincy
So
stuff.
you've also got obviously Williams and Sard in that back line. Now,
Yeah, so I think Williams and Sard alternate each week.
Thank
who's gonna be the
you.
lockdown guy.
Or
alternating.
one of them goes ham
Yeah.
and the other one doesn't
Where
because
I
they're
think
both
Doherty
trying to run.
just runs around like Bailey Dell, for example, or Jaden Short, and just runs around and does his own friggin' thing because he's such a good ball user. They just get it in his hand and he'll just hit up one of those gun midfielders.
yeah,
I
look,
can see Doc
you're not wrong.
going back to 100, 105 this year.
I don't hate it. I have him in draft.
I think there's so many other options in defence though.
I think there is. I
There's
think
a
there
large
is.
amount of options.
But
Don't
and
risk
he's
it.
not cheap. Dockers is
no,
not
he's
cheap,
not
right?
cheap, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And if
What
it
is he,
goes
the same-
wrong,
he's
you are
pretty much this.
fucked.
He's like what 520 or something, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
like same price as.
Yeah.
Don't risk that one for the biscuits. So, boys, can we go to negative town?
Can we actually? I think you've got to. I know we want to move on, but there's two.
Why would we want to move on, Swizz? It's an hour and 40 fucking minutes.
Well, that's right. Why the fuck? There's two others that I don't think we've.
Go. Keep us honest.
We haven't mentioned.
Keep us honest.
Been asked about one, and Chris is going to fucking roll over in his grave even though he's alive. Jai Caldwell. I've been asked about.
Yes,
quite
fair
No,
call.
he's not a terrible.
No, fair call. And the next one?
And then the obvious ruck one that you guys have, but Timmy English.
Yep, actually, that's fair call. Chris, we might have overseen that. It's a bit of an oversight because we have English and we know how good English is. And I guess Max Gawn ties into that. So maybe we'll do a Gawn/English couple, a bit of a duo.
Yeah, afterwards,
Caldwell,
and then do Caldwell.
Yeah, no, Caldwell's definitely valid. And when we kind of have a look at why, when you have, he's gone a couple of 90s in a row. He's, funnily enough, though, the week just gone, right? He kicked a goal that was pretty pivotal, right? Not too bad. His role's kind of there. But this was one week in particular where his Supercoach was better than his dream team. And Caldwell, that's not the case. Like, it's literally Butcher, fucking Town, and Dream Team 100%. Supercoach is shit generally for Caldwell. So this was a bit of a different scenario. I wasn't super impressed, but when you look at Merritt going out, the only people to come into Essendon to
Shield
kind of...
also is a test this week.
Well,
isn't
Shield's a test, but Shield's generally an outside. I don't see them throwing him straight into the guts.
He's more likely to be out than in.
Yep.
Well,
Shield.
love it.
Or like Shield, like any time. But so basically, how they're going to have to fill that gap of having a Merritt, it's literally got to be Caldwell, it's got to be Merritt, or it's got to be Hobbs, or a combination of three. So I wonder whether Caldwell's already getting some CBA, so it's either he's going to get more, Hobb might come in and actually get a fair chunk.
If any indication, he will get a lot more.
Caldwell?
Now,
yeah, because when some players were missing, Caldwell had a lot more.
Yeah. Now, what I will say to that is I actually don't hate him as I would much rather Caldwell than Bowie. However, it's the position on the field that you're really talking about that's the issue. Like, if I had McGovern and I had to trade him, am I going Bowie or am I going to Caldwell? I'm going Caldwell every time because he's making more cash. Like, long term, he's scoring more points on field for me. Like, I think that he's a much, much better selection. I don't know how you can do that without, say, sideways trading Berry, I don't think that's a good trade.
Or Ward and then having, say, a Horne-Francis on the bench and then you've got 200,000 sitting on the bench and then your defense is still kind of shit.
If there's a way that you can get there, that you get Caldwell on field, it doesn't impact any of your other players, and there's it works for your team, then great. There's not many teams that are going to be set up that way.
If you have Ward at M8 and he's on field each week hurting you with his kind of 50-odd scores, then I think Caldwell does work. If he's on field. If you've gone like, hey, 3 premiums, a Rowell, a Berry, and then you've gone to 3 premium, like the 3 rookies, should I say, of Horne-Francis, Dacos, and Ward on field, then I guess there is some scope. Instead of going a Stevens and trying to risk that on field, I think you're realistically better trying to go a Caldwell on field in that scenario.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an upgrade, right? Yeah. Like you have to get that. Where are you getting that 80K from?
Fucking make up money.
Right now, no one's made any money. So everyone's got the same amount of money and you're just rearranging your team.
Well, if you've got Whitfield, you're going down to Hewett. So that's 100K.
Yep.
If you didn't have Hewett.
So Whitfield to Hewett and then what?
Ward to Caldwell.
And then Ward to Caldwell.
I still don't know yeah.
If he's on your field, makes sense.
Yeah, I guess if it's on field.
It's not terrible.
No, and it's all team dependent this week.
Now, well, here's the other thing. So do you think Caldwell, first of all, I think the points is worth it. Like, I think Caldwell scores enough points over Ward over the next, 4 or 5 weeks to make it completely work.
So Caldwell's going 90 at the moment, and with Merritt out, I think he's going 100 for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
I don't know about that. I think he maintains at least. I think he got pretty lucky. Last year, I think he was 80-ish.
Oh, mate, I'm saying for the next 4 to 5. Mate,
yeah, I still think
Merritt,
90 to 100.
Scorer.
I still think 90 to 100.
Yeah, look, I liked Caldwell in the preseason. I was hot on him, and then when the news came out that his CBA's dropped through the floor, when all the Bombers midfielders started coming back, I was completely off him. Now I wish I had him. So,
Yeah.
I mean, look.
What did you say to me, Chris, when I fucking... Oh, you guys, you were getting into me because I was looking at Caldwell over Berry. Fuck, I wish I did that now.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I'll give you that one. But we didn't make a bet, so fuck you.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Should we move on to Gawn and English?
Well, I think actually we'll tie one more into that. So it's Gawn down to because this guy's actually 6% traded in, but English or Jackson because Jackson's got a lot of love this week. So I think we've got to tackle both of them.
I think I'll take Tim English because I am the man of Tim English.
Okay, fine. You go. Well, you rode my coattails, motherfucker.
Fuck off. I've always been on
Jackson,
the English train.
until you didn't have him, and lucky I gave you a shout out just before the game.
That was thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Look, I'll say this about English. That the best thing about English is that he's looking like, regardless of what happens, he's probably going to be a top 10 forward, which is the only reason you're trading him in. Now, I like the fact that people are also looking at Jackson, but they're looking at him to do the same for a cheaper price. I'm not necessarily sure that's all the way there, but I did say in the preseason that I think he can average in the 90s. So it's not too far extra for him to go to get there, and he has played very well so far. What I will also say is if you do have Gawn, the only reason why you're trading him is to fix up another part of your team. Like, you need to get 2 premiums. You need to get English. This is why I don't necessarily think Jackson's the right play, because I think if you go to Jackson, then he may be a premium, but he's not guaranteed to be a premium. I think there's a much higher chance that English is a premium than Jackson. And you really need to make it work for your team by increasing from, say, 12 to 13 premiums or 11 to 12 premiums to make not having Gawn viable. Because even if he only averages 110, that's still probably a top 3 ruck. Are we on the, have the
for
rucks
Gawn?
come for this season? It doesn't look like there's anyone that's going to be going 110 plus in average.
Yeah, I think some people get a bit butthurt because they're like, well, Gawn might lose me 75,000 over the next couple of weeks and blah, 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 blah. But you already have him, so price is very much subjective. You've already got him.
Negligible if you keep him.
Yeah, exactly. If you have him, it doesn't even matter, right? It's kind of like whose line is it anyway where the points don't matter? Except the points matter and the price.
Your premiums are selected and the points don't matter.
Whereas the points matter but the price doesn't. It's a weird scenario, right? But here's the thing. Now, if you have Gawn, I think it's a very good option as far as keeping if he does maintain that 110, 115 average. You save a trade, which is first of all the primary reason. I understand the English factor as far as being if English does remain a top 10, and this is why I think English is a top 10. So we're going back to that briefly. Right. Number one, he's the number one ruck. Now, it doesn't help the fact that the Dogs have lost 2 games, so I wouldn't be surprised if they actually try and bring in Steph Martin. English kind of struggled when he got to one contest to the next. He was a bit cooked and didn't really contest well. So, but I still think English has the scope. I still think he's awesome as the number one.
Just suffices. He's gone up against Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy in the first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, he hasn't beaten them, but he's fucking held them own.
He's held his own.
Yeah. And you know what he's done better than I thought he'd done?
How did he play Grundy?
Grundy got 101.
How did he play Grundy?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. No. What?
No, he came up against a dual team of De Koning and Pitney. So they had two
They're
rucks,
shit.
and he
what's wrong with
worked
me?
really hard. I don't know what's wrong with you, Chris. But he did work really hard in that contest. But I think it'll be proven to see whether they try and go for a little bit of a better tap ruckman. But I still think he has a good scope to be top 10.
Mate, I don't think they do because he's coming up against who's Sydney's Hickey. Then it's
true.
Nank and Soldo, which is a bit like Pinternet, a better version of probably Pinternet and De Koning, because obviously more Nank, not as much Soldo. North, that'll be Cherry. And that
Adelaide, Rob,
and then Draper, fucking hell. And
Lyset, who's also shit.
Yeah. So the next few weeks, I think he'll score right. Actually, here's one for the punters. Hypothetically, let's just say you traded, say, Whitfield out and you went Bowie and you were going to upgrade a McGovern or somebody like that and you had the money to do it. Would you get in Tim English in your forward line or Heeney in your forward line?
Oof.
If you had to choose between Heeney or
You know what's fucking hilarious, and we haven't actually touched on Heeney yet. I think that most people would say Heeney.
Heeney.
And I wouldn't touch Heeney. I still wouldn't. And
Mate, I would
Even
touch
with their
Heeney
fixture?
with the lights on.
Well,
I mean, I'm not
I've
talking
met,
about
I've met him a couple of times. He is a fucking beautiful man.
He is a beautiful man.
I'd touch him with the
Straight
lights.
out of Abercrombie and
Wouldn't
Fitch
even be one of those
magazine.
self-conscious things where I'm like, well, look, I'm probably covering 5 kilos overweight and you're in tip-top shape, but look, let's leave the lights on. Look, I don't know. It's for me, it's about the positional difference now with English. The soft draw coming up, I think even still, he looks like he could be top 10 potential. This is more solidified now by the fact that Dangerfield is playing a midfield only. Fife, when he returns, midfield only. Bontempelli is a bit of a mixed role, but I still don't think he's forward eligible enough. Marshall is playing ruck because, Ryder's out. So he's not getting forward eligibility in this first drop, which means that any possible later one is round 12. And even that's kind of a bonus around sort of the upgrade time. So
yeah, it's probably your last upgrade.
yeah, so for
around that
instance,
time.
it's now more likely that English is top 10, possibly even top 6, which makes him a very, very, very valuable, valid selection.
Do you think Heeney with his fixture coming up could go that far ahead that he will be
I think
top?
if you're going to get him, it's now because his injury risk is definitely an option, but like anyone else, their draw is so soft, right? And we spoke about that previously with Sydney. So I think it's one of those ones where, they play after the Bulldogs, obviously North, Eagles, Hawks, Lions, Suns, Essendon. So I think there is definitely some scope that he continues to kick goals. Heeney's not playing midfield though, right? Not the big chop
And
out of midfield.
That is my biggest conjecture point.
That's
is
the
that-
big concern. He's not
and
going to kick
he's
88
not-
goals.
He's also not kicking fucking behinds at the moment.
Yeah, and he's not kicking 88 goals for the year.
No,
Right? He's
he's
kicked
not.
8 goals in 2 games. He is not kicking 88 goals for the
Having
season.
said that, I mean, he's averaging what, like
140.
140 twice in a row.
0.5,
Right? So he's
something.
not, let's say he doesn't kick those goals and he's just averaging 100, which I think is plausible.
It's still
He's not a terrible selection, but I just don't have any faith in that forward role because at some point he's going to drop a 40 or a 50. Like he has years and years and years of scoring history as a forward.
Yeah, but he's still getting some rotations. I think if you're talking about him averaging 100 over these next bits, I think he's then becomes a must-have. With the 2 140s averaging 100.
I think there's better options.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
I like
and
Heeney.
that's
I like
that's
Heeney.
the debate. So I think you'd hold Gawn if you really wanted English, then try to bring him in through the forward line. I wouldn't be trading Gawn out for him. I don't get like the Luke Jackson looks awesome as a player, and if for some whatever reason, nobody's
top
giving
10.
him up in keeper. Nobody's giving him up in a keeper league anyway. But
I did 2 years
he's
ago.
not. Yeah,
Fuck
I have
me.
him in one of them. But you're not. I don't see him as a long-term option unless Gawn was to go down. So maybe people are hoping, they're thinking, oh, well, Gawn's not looking great. Maybe he's injured or something. The thing with Gawn the first 2 weeks, he's played in like the game in the Gold Coast, such slippery conditions. Like he could have not played any worse round 1. And the conditions did not suit him at all. And he's still averaging 90. So better conditions and everything like that.
I don't know,
Luke
guys.
Jackson's
Would you
Luke
rather
Jackson's
have?
gonna be fine.
Would you rather have Isaac Heeney or Luke Jackson or Tim English, or would you rather have the number 1 Pies mid?
There is no number 1 Pies mid, boys.
Number 1 Pies mid right now is Jordan De Goey. He's had more CBAs than any other Pies midfielder, including Adams.
I'm mid. He looked
Heeney.
good on the weekend.
I'll take
He did.
Heeney and
He did look
English
good. But
over
I'm taking English.
De Goey combined.
I mean, look, we say all this, but I mean, Cherry's going to be a top 6 forward. Brodie's going to be a top 6 forward.
Fuck off. Okay, so look, boys, we need to round this out.
No. But, okay, so the reason and the final reason that I'm taking English before them, it's that whole if you have Gawn and Grundy and you want one of those guys in your forward line, when it comes to that buy time, English has the different buy. So instead of I know it's best 18 during that time, but to have somebody in your ruck line that you can loophole through, I'm gathering we'll have Dixon still at that stage as the loophole option. You're able to have that guy who can come and play in your rucks that week.
Boys, I'm not going to
1%.
lie, but I'm pretty sure Max Gawn and McGovern pretty much equal English and Heeney.
I'm not going to do the math on that, but
Well, as in it's like I think it's about 190,000 between both.
I've got it in front of me actually.
I think it's pretty
was
close.
playing
I
around with
think
it.
was it Gawn like 680
like
or
we
something?
said, I'm okay with the
It's
Gawn
close.
trade as long as
close.
you're getting 2 premiums from it, right?
That's what I mean. If you go Gawn
But-
down, then McGovern becomes a 2 premiums.
But if you don't do that, and
then you're fucked.
18K short. Oh, no,
Okay.
13. No, because I had 5 in the bank. So what's that? 23K short of doing it.
Okay, so it's
I
pretty
mean,
close.
But if you were on 0, most people have
Yeah.
cash.
ultimately, at the end of the day, is Gawn still going to be top 3 ruck? Probably.